What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another amazing Naruto story. What if Naruto married Dragon Wife? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description box the original creator of this beautiful creation. One more word to say to everyone, awesome. So many reviews, favorites, followers in just one chapter. Wow, that's cool and makes me more into this story. Also, if someone is wondering or have told me about adding flashbacks, then have no fear. I will have chapters later that will be flashbacks of Naruto's past or have them in a chapter to help explain a few things. So just wait and enjoy the next chapter, ladies and gentlemen. We soon see our favorite couple, Naruto and Rias, walking around the Kuo town shopping area with a smile on their faces as they held each other's hands with care and interlocking their fingers together. The blonde-haired teen wears an orange-black jacket, red shirt, blue jeans, and white spot shoes. The crimson-haired woman wears a pink shirt that hugged her body figure, blue jeans, and dress shoes for women. The two devils were very happy to enjoy their moment together and kept their walk around town for some things for house or themselves. Then all of a sudden a yellow blur dashed past the streets and towards the couple, getting their attention to look at the blur before noticing who was coming at them. Before Naruto or Rias could say a thing, the blonde-haired teen was soon jumped by the blur and soon hugged into the ground by a little girl. This little one was Kuno, a nine-tailed fox who is the daughter of Yasaka and step of Naruto. She has golden, blonde hair tied in a ponytail and matching eyes. If she was in a yokai area or someone who is a devil that can see that she has 9 golden fox tails and matching ears. Naruto hugged his foster daughter and said, "Kuno-chan, you miss me?" "Yes, I did too, San. Ka-san promised that we can visit you and maybe more in." Kuno answered happily as she hugged her father figure closer to her. Naruto patted his daughter's head as he stood up on his feet with Kuno in his arms and smiled to see her again. Rias smiled at the scene between them and was little jealous. She always wanted to have a child with the man she loves like the other girls, but they are still in college or most in high school. The blonde-haired teen was so great with kids and one dreams of having his own family, but not now and maybe sometime later. No need to rush, they have time, but moving on. Naruto, Rias, and Kuno soon saw someone that was running towards them and smiled at who was coming towards them. This woman was the mother of Kuno and another girlfriend of Naruto, Yasaka. She is a young woman with a voluptuous figure and very long blonde hair with matching eyes. She is a woman with delicate facial features and her eyebrows are cut very short and round, a symbol of nobility. Her hair is tied in a loose ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs that end in a spiral, with taut bandages to keep it in place. She wears a yellow kimono, a golden obi, and wore a black pelt with gold skulls and lines printed on it. The kimono features a white interior and it is open at her shoulders, giving view to her enormously large S. Naruto, Rias, and the others meet the two foxes during their school trip to Kyoto to find things in trouble with the hero faction. At first, Kuno thought that the devils and their friends had taken her mother but was wrong and said her apologies while asking for help to find her mother. Being a kind-hearted man, Naruto vowed to help her and fought to save her mother. He did and got mother and daughter to be together again while fixing the damages to the point that allowed Yasaka to not stay at Kyoto and be free like to wander outside of her home if she wants. During New Year's, Naruto meets Yasaka and Kuno while enjoying his New Year's. They talk to each other and spend time together as a family would, to the point that the little girl even called the blonde-haired teen father. He smiled and was happy to be a father figure for Kuno. Later the fox and dragon grew feelings for each other. Now we are up to date, let's get back to the story. Kuno, please stay by me next time. I know you are happy to see Naru-kun again, but let's not get your kimono dirty or yourself for today, Yasaka said as she finally made to the group and saw her daughter in the blonde's arms. Couldn't help it, Ka-san. I just wanted to see Tu-san for so long and maybe move in, Kuno said with a fake pout, but changed when Naruto started left up in the air and placed on his shoulders, causing her to giggle and smiled happily. I know you miss me, Kuno-chan, but listen to your mother, okay? You will have time to spend time with me and your mother, Naruto said with a smile on his face as he kept his foster daughter on his shoulders. Okay, Tu-san. Kuno agreed as she hugged her father's head while sniffing his hair and loved his kind scent of a father would have. Yasaka smiled at this scene and said, Oh Naru-kun, I happened to come across Irina and she told that she will be coming home very soon. Irina-chan is already done? I thought she won't be until a few more days, but that's fine and will be great to see her again, Naruto said, being taken back and was happy while keeping the happy fox on his shoulders. Yep, and we'll be at the house, she says. I see that you and Rias are enjoying today. Do you mind if Kuno tags along, Naru-kun? Yasaka asked, knowing that she needs something for herself and daughter to live here in Kuo. Rias was a little upset and against the idea, since they were on a date and just ran up to the two foxes, but she stopped when Naruto looked at with a warm smile that says, "It will be okay." She sighed with a smile on face while she may be against it but was fine with and they could use more. I see no harm in that. If Naru-kun says it's fine, then let go. We have few more stops to make before going back home. I think there are a few places down the street that can help you with your living space, Yasaka, Rias offered as she held Naruto's right hand before interlocking the fingers once again. Yep, it will fun and I know playground where I can take Kuno-chan to play it while you girls look around, Naruto said with a smile while having his foster daughter screaming happily to play at a playground. Thank you, Rias, Naru-kun, Yasaka said with a warm smile as she took her boyfriend's left hand and started to walk towards the shopping area. As the happy group walks towards the shopping to shop and let little girl play at the playgrounds with her father, someone was watching them and was heart-taken now. A pair of red ruby eyes watched the whole scene between Naruto and three girls, causing a smile to form upon her face. She hid in the shadows watching the group played and shopped like a normal family would do and caused her to be happy for her little brother. While she may not be talking to him, not yet at least, she prayed and hoped that she will. That was her promise. That was Kurenai's promise to her little brother as she disappeared in a cloud of smoke and returned to base camp alone, not knowing that the group saw her at that moment. Naru-kun, did you saw that ninja? Rias asked with her eyes narrowed, knowing what she saw and who the ninja might be. I did, Rias-chan. I can't tell who it was, but I have feeling that we are going to have some unwanted guest, Naruto replied with his eyes narrowed. Yasaka got Kuno in her arms as her daughter hugged her, being safe in her mother's arms and understand what her father figure had seen. So much for a family moment. Should we head home now, Naru-kun? Yasaka asked as she held her daughter close to her and Kuno wrapped her arms around her mother's neck to be safe. All girls from Naruto's harem all know about their boyfriend's past and what hardship he went through. Kuno might not know, but she could tell that bad people had hurt her father when he was young and was upset about that. The blonde-haired teen was the caring and kindness person around while he may train and fight, but he still had a kind heart for others than himself. Yes, I have feeling that today is going to be long and headache afterward, Naruto answered with a sigh, leaving his lips and know what was ahead. Rias and Yasaka nodded their head, understanding what was coming and will be there for the man they love. The fox ruler was not going to have her daughter in this mess and will put her in a room until everything was done. After checking if no humans were around or saw them from afar, the crimson-haired heiress used a red magic circle to teleport them back to the house and be ready for the unwanted guest. Within a red flash of magic energy, the group was back at the house and surprised the ones that were still there. Naruto wanted to spend time with his girls today, but it seems he will have to put it on hold for now and will make it up to them. The ones that were in the house were Akano, Graphia, Kuroka, Kaneko, Ravel, Rosweiss, Xenovia, Tiamat, and Fenrir. They were taken back on how the blonde-haired teen was back with Yasaka and Kuno. They figure she and her daughter will come, but not this soon, and have a feeling that something was up. Naruto-kun, what's going on? Why are here early? Akano asked, speaking for everyone and wonder. Before Naruto could speak, all the sudden wolf-like glow was heard and got everyone's attention to look at Fenrir. He started to glow with an angry look on his face and narrowed his eyes angrily from scenting some shitheads outside of the house. The devils, dragon, and fox started to scent Charka all the sudden and narrowed their eyes at the door, knowing who was here and what was coming towards them. Where are the others? Naruto asked, making sure where was everyone before he faces his past and not caused some unwanted damage to someone. They are going out shopping for some clothes, food, and exacta, Naruto-kun. I think they will back within the next hour or so, Graphia reviled as she got herself ready in case things get of hand. Rosweiss sighed, knowing what was coming next, and said, I will place the barrier when the unwanted guest shows up, Naruto-kun. Better safe and sorry. Good. "I rather not have them or anyone here now," Naruto said while closing his eyes for a moment before opening them again and ready scenes who was here at the door of his house. "It's them, right? The ninjas from the Leaf Village you told us about?" Yasaka asked as she held her daughter even safer in her arms. Naruto nodded his head and answered and said, "Yes, and please take Kuno-chan upstairs to a guest room, Yasaka-chan." Yasaka nodded her head in understanding and walked upstairs with her daughter in arms. Naruto didn't want the fools to know about his foster daughter. There was no telling what will happen if they find out, and he will make sure they will never touch her. Fenrir was about to walk towards the door and scared the shit of the unwanted guest but was held back by Tiamat, who shook her head and said, "We will wait for when it's time, Fenrir. Naruto-kun needs to face past first before we show them how weak they are first and then make them pay with their mistakes." The wolf nodded his head, but still narrowed his eyes and glowed at the door. Naruto walked towards his wolf familiar and started to pat him on the head, having him calm down first. "Easy," Naruto spoke within a commanding tone of voice and caused Fenrir to stand down until orders told him otherwise. Graphia walked towards the door and waited for her king to tell her to open the door for their so-called guest. Fenrir walks back to the sofa to lay down and closed his eyes, playing asleep while hiding a smirk on his lips, and will wait for his master to order him to attack. Naruto took his seat on the main sofa with Rias and Akeno by his side to help him relax and be at his side no matter what. Ravel started to get some tea and snacks out for the guest, the evening she doesn't want to, and while spitting in the drinks for the ninjas with no one was looking. Xenovia, Kuroka and Kaneko sat down on a sofa that was across their boyfriends. Tiamat and Roswise seat next to the wolf to keep him in line while both got ready in case things go wrong. It was time for the blonde-haired teen to face a part of his past, but he won't be alone and will face it with the people he loves. Soon enough the maids started to open to show who was here and what ninjas that were in the group, causing the blonde-haired teen to narrow his eyes a little. The group had most people that hated him, being Jiraiya, Kakashi, Asuma, Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, Kiba, Lee, Naruto, and Menma, while having ones that haven't hurt the blonde-haired teen in any way are Tenten and Ino. All the ninjas were taken back at their banished ninja and ladies that were with him. Naruto could tell that 3 years has passed for them in their world while 6 years passed for him. It looks like that time was different from 2 worlds and had a feeling that things are getting bad back in the village if Leaf send ninjas to get him. He wonders why and had feeling he will find out. Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Asuma were giggling like the perverts they are and not noticing that they are having stupid a look on their face that says, "Perverts here and I am stupid." They had plans on taking the blonde back to the village whatever he likes or not before passing him aside like the demon he was, but put those thoughts aside for the village's sake. Sasuke glared at the idiot for beating the last time they met while having a lust in his eyes for the girls that are around him, thinking of breaking the blonde apart before fucking the whores in front of him. Sakura glared at the crimson-haired woman for her beauty and big while daydreaming on beating them and planned on seducing the once blonde-haired idiot, then dump him like a toy before going after her crash like the fangirl she was. Hinata also glared at the girls that took her lover and plaything while not knowing that girls could see that. She planned on beating the holes to death before taking her plaything and fuck like demon he is. Kiba also giggled like pervert with a dog-like look on his face while planning on taking the girls for himself to show who is the alpha, and glared at the Nikos for smelling like cats all of a sudden. Lee just narrowed his eyes at the blonde-haired teen and not caring that he once helped him to heal his legs. He planned on beating the demon after he was doing helping the village. Naruto and Menma had nothing but hate for their disowned brother and want to kill him for giving their home village a hard time since he left. Ino had grown out of her fangirl and was not happy with some of former friends caused harm to the blonde-haired teen. She had grown to care for Naruto but held it back and waited a few more years to see where it goes. Tenten also grown to care for Naruto and wonders if he was happy with his new life. She can tell he was happy with the girls in his life and wonder what their relationship they're in. "What do you want, Leaf Ninjas?" Naruto asked with glare that caused the 2 white-haired perverts to stop their moment and get to work. Jiraiya was taken back at the glare, which caused him to have chill in his spine and sweat to appear on his forehead. He thought that Naruto will still the lovable and used to control idiot, but changed by looking into his 2 different color of eyes and saw not the lovable ninja anymore. He saw a beast that hated them, but he prayed he can change that. Now Naruto, that's no way to talk to your godfather, Jiraiya said as he wrapped the sweat off his forehead. I think the last time I checked, I have no godfather and you are not him, pervert. Now I will like to know how you find me and why are you here. Also stop looking at my girls like a piece of meat. Naruto reposed with steel in his voice while sending a powerful glare towards Kakashi, Kiba, and Sasuke. The scarecrow and dog stopped, but Duck-ass didn't and kept his lustful glare at Rias and Tiamat. The crimson-haired and blue-haired women narrowed their eyes at the black-haired pervert for almost killing the man they love and one of the main parts for his pain. Sakura saw this and glared at them for trying to take her Sasuke but didn't notice that the blonde-haired teen saw this and was close on beating the pink-haired bitch into next week if his girls don't it. Graphia showed no emotions on her face, but her eyes were narrowed to the point it showed hate and wanted to freeze one the ninjas for causing harm onto the man she loved. Akano was in the same boat and glared at Hinata for what she had done to the man she loathed while looking forward on using some sadist attacks. Rossweiss narrowed her eyes on the smoker and saw that he was pervert, cheater that should be put in his place like the scum he is. Revell narrowed her eyes at Ino with ideas on burning her. Xenovia glared at Tenten and wanted to test her poor swordswoman skills before cutting Lee legs off for beating and saying harsh things to the man she loved. Kuroka and Kaneko narrowed their eyes at Kiba for looking at them like he was the alpha and they sure be his whores, but that was not going to work and were close on attacking the dog at any moment. Now let's move on. Now Naruto. That's no way to talk to your fellow ninjas, Kakashi remarked, but let a girl like yelp when the Gremory heiress glared at him. Since when you saw Naru-kun as a fellow ninja? Last time I checked you banished him for finishing a mission, Rias said with her eyes narrowed at white-haired pervert and he backed down. Fenrir smirked at that while Tiamat smiled on weak the ninjas and patted the wolf to have his tail wagged in contentment. Hey bitch, stay out of this. This is between the Dobi and I, so stay out of noble affairs like a good bitch before I break him, Sasuke said with an arrogant smirk on his face. Yeah, big Ed bitch. Nobles have the call around. Now be a like good bitch and bow down before us. Menma commented with his own arrogant smirk with her sister nodded with her. This caused the crimson-haired devil to unleash some part of her power onto the three so-called nobles and she not the only one. The other girls did the same and caused them to sweat very hard on what power they felt. This would have go on more, but Naruto stopped them and let them speak for now, that is. You three don't deserve to be called nobles and don't give me the crap that you're all this and all that. What, you are nothing more than low-life pheasants. And I thought my brother, Riser, was a bigger jackass back then, but I take that back because you three are way more bigger jackasses than him, Revell said with glare and had some flames sparking out her hands in anger. I agree with the Firebird on all accounts, Kaneko commented, which gained the Phoenix to be taken back. Revell had surprised look on her face on being called a Firebird and not Kentucky Fried Chicken for once. Birds and cats don't get along but will for the boyfriend sake. And why should we listen to some blonde-haired bitch and a flat-chested child? Kiba barked with a prideful smirk on his face. Sure, Revell was mad at the comment, but Kaneko was even more mad with trick mark on her head and had her older sister to held her back and had look that says, wait and then beat the mutt where it hurts. Be careful what you say next, leaf ninjas. You are walking on thin ice now and haven't answered my questions. Why you are here, how you found me, and what do you want? Naruto asked with his narrowed at the white-haired pervert for answers while having the idea he already know but prayed that he was wrong. Jiraiya could tell that Naruto was not playing around and sweated even more for this change from the once lovable ninja to this cold-hearted man that wants to kill him. He also can tell that the blonde and girls are not normal while starting to notice that they have no charka, making the old pervert worried all the sudden and started to answer the questions. We find you by following the travel of your tailed beast's charka to the Uzumaki home village and used the jutsu to be teleported in this rotten place with small codes. And our mission is to bring you back home, Naruto, Jiraiya answered finally, getting Naruto and his girls to narrow their eyes a little. What home? You mean that shit place of a village that wants me dead for all they care? Last time I check I was banished and will be killed on sight if I step back into that hellhole of a village, Naruto informed with his eyes narrowed and was close on striking but was calmed down when Rias and Akano held his hands. Naruto calmed down and started to wonder what coats the ninjas used to get here in this world, but he had a feeling he will find out soon enough. Naruto, the council has lifted your banishment to be voided, and that means you can become Hokage if you fight for the leaf once again, Kakashi said with eyes smiled in hope that the blonde will take the bait. The scarecrow would rather see the demon be killed than become Hokage, but he will put that aside and use a dream to get the blonde on their side once again. However, he was wrong, and something shocked him and other ninjas. No, Scarecrow, I won't fight for some shithole of a village that can't keep their things together, nor will be your weapon. And I can't, since I am no longer the holder of the nine-tailed fox, meaning that I'm free and no longer your weapon anymore, Naruto commented with a smirk and caused the ninjas to be taken of the news. Many Leaf ninjas were having mixed emotions right now, and this shocked news crashed them to the core. Naruto was no longer the holder of the nine tails, and this news have crashed their plans on taking him back. The blonde, his girlfriends and Wolf smiled at the ninjas' misfortune and could tell that one foe them was going to do something foolish. As if one clue, one of them rushed towards the blonde-haired teen and grabbed him by his shirt, being the scarecrow himself, and glared very angry at blonde in front. Listen me to you demon scum. You are the Leaf's weapon and will shut the hell up. Now dump the whores and be our weapon. Kakashi yelled with anger in his voice and had lost his mind at that moment. Before Jiraiya could do or say anything, something happened that made him and every ninja fall onto their knees all of a sudden. They couldn't breathe, sweated very hard from their foreheads, and their bodies shakes like crazy. The reason for this sudden pain was the devils, dragon, and wolf have unleashed their aura and was meant for killing, having their eyes narrowed to glare and had different type of aura around them. Naruto was red draconic aura and his eyes shone brighter, giving a more dragon look to his appearances. Rias was red and black demonic aura that soon became a draconic aura. Akano was yellow holy and purple demonic aura with lightning magic sparking out of her eyes and hands while becoming draconic aura. Graphia was silver and blue demonic aura with cold feeling into air that made the ninjas have the chills. Xenovia was yellow holy with some demonic in her aura and was close on summoning one of her holy swords. Kuroka was purple with flames in her aura and started to have her cat appearances appeared. Kaneko was blue with flames in her eye and started to have her cat appearances appeared. Revel was flames and orange demonic aura while having winds surrounding the area to make it hard for the fools to breathe any clean air. Tiamat was pure blue draconic that took the sharp of her dragon form and growled at the ninjas, making them even more sacred. Roswise had white and blue demonic Norse aura while having the barrier up all of a sudden to trap the fools and kept the others out for what will happen next. Fenrir had no aura, but his size grew twicker and showed his fangs to the ninjas. This caused Menma and Naruto passed out with wet mark on their bodies and from the aura they felt. Before the ninjas could say anything, Naruto started to whistle with a smile on his face and caused Fenrir to attack one of the ninjas, being the scarecrow in front of him. The wolf attacked the white-haired ninja and pushed him into the ground while having his claws into his shoulders and caused him to grunt through his teeth in pain. This caused the ninjas to attack the devils and dragon to help their fellow ninja and wear in for beat down of their lives. Naruto and his girls were ready to face the weaklings and no worries in facing some fools. The fight was over before it even started. Naruto vs Sasuke. Your mind, Dobi. Sasuke shouted out in fury and with anger in his red eyes as he dashed forward with lightning dancing around his right arm and thrusted it forward towards Blonde's heart. Sasuke smirked like a madman as he was close to the heart, planning on killing the blonde before breaking girls to his will and make them his whores. However, he failed to see a new danger that was coming towards him and was wide open. Naruto narrowed his eyes and summoned his sacred gear to come forth onto his right arm, being a red dragon-like arm with green orbs in center and sides with golden spikes. He then gathers up his magic and draconic aura for his own attack. Boost. A voice was heard as the red spinning sphere of magic and formed in the blonde's dragon hand while at the same time having his strength and power boosted up. Soon the black-haired Uchiha was in rang and thrusted at the heart with one-hit lightning move, but Naruto moved to the side and used his left hand to break the attack arm while causing the lightning to break apart all of a sudden, causing the fool screamed in pain before being attacked again in the chest. Naruto had thrusted forward with his right arm and unleashed a power red sphere of energy towards the fool in front of him. Dragon Shot. Rasengan. Naruto called out while launching a power red sphere of energy into Sasuke's chest and launched the fool across the room to only landed with a thud onto the floor. Sasuke screamed in pain on having all his ribs broken apart and blood drip out of his mouth. Naruto soon walked towards the black-haired Uchiha and smirked at the weakly in front of him. Back then I once you saw as shit, Sasuke, now you are nothing but dog shit and a child that wants power all to himself when he can't get it, Naruto commented before taking a knee down to the fool and started to work his magic. Then an idea came to the blonde to where he can have the village that made his life a living hell pay for their crimes by destroying their so-called loyal ninja power eyes. Dedragi, can we use Flash and Gen to break his eyes? Naruto asked with a smirk on his face that caused the Uchiha to widen his eyes before glaring at the blonde. Naruto narrowed his eyes before bitch-slapping Sasuke into the ground with grunt in pain and looked at his right with green orb glowing. Could work Naruto and might break the pride of this so-called noble down, Dedrag said within the orb with a chuckle following behind. Naruto smiled as he put his right hand out in front of Sasuke's face and opened to show a green light of energy. Flash. Then all of a sudden a massive green light of energy shot outwards towards Sasuke's face and caused him to go blind as a bat. He screamed in pain and started to rub his eyes to get his sight back but failed and soon felt a hand on his forehead, being the blonde's hand as it was covered in blue magic lines for another trick. Gen, Naruto chatted as his whole left hand shouts a power bolt of blue lightning towards the eyes of the Uchiha and caused him to scream in massive pain. Naruto had destroyed the eyes of Sasuke Uchiha and broke his chakra pathways to the point it can only use one jutsu before passing out. Having enough on listening to the duck ass, the blonde took his right hand and punched the Uchiha out in one hit to shut him up. The black-haired fool was out for the count with groan leaving his mouth as he pasted out from the pain. Naruto stood up from his kneed position and looked back at the girls, seeing that they were almost done, and smiled on how easy it will be to take the ninjas down without a problem. Rias vs Sakura. Sakura is facing down Rias, but she is not paying attention to her, more she is looking at her massive chest. It was the size of Tsunade, but it had a younger feeling to it. She growled at the sight of her massive tits while she had nothing more than a B cup at best. You big Ed whore. I knew Naruto was stupid, but I didn't think he'd be dumb enough to fall for a stupid cow like you. I have no doubt you are after my Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled like a banshee. Rias frowned at the pink-haired bitch and said, I could care less about this Sasuke idiot, he is not my type. Secondly, you are just jealous I'm natural beauty and you're not. I can tell you are busier with your appearance than becoming a real woman in heart, mind, and body. The crimson-haired beauty puffs her chest out making it jiggle, getting a giggle from perverts who were slammed into the ground by Naruto or the girls for staring at the Gremory heiress. Shanaru. Sakura yelled as she slowly ran at Rias to prove herself stronger than her and show her love and affection to Sasuke, so they could. The train of thought ended with Rias smacking the pink-haired banshee with a bitch slap, sending her flying across the room and slamming into the wall with a thud. The crimson-haired woman had a sweat drop from this. Whoa, and I thought most of the girls in Riser's peerage were weak, but this is just sad, Rias commented as she turns from her and ducks under another pitiful attack from a recovering Sakura, and without meaning it she hits her with the back of her head. Rias didn't feel the pain but turned to see she had knocked the girl out with sigh leaving her lips and said, what a waste of a woman, just a spoiled little brat. At least I grew up some over the past few years. The crimson-haired beauty turned to join the others in fighting off the unwanted guest while leaving the fangirl out cold, thinking she won the fight in her dreams and is marrying Sasuke, not knowing he wasn't paying attention to her, and Ino shakes her head in shame of her former friend while being no better than herself when she got slapped and blasted with fire by Revel, being a quick and easy match for the Phoenix girl to the point she smiled in victory and was proud of herself. With Xenovia. Alright, I will beat you demon whore and that fox demon with the flames of youth. Lee yelled out as he dashed forward towards the blue-haired devil knight. Tenten's sweat dropped at her former teammate and shook her head in disappointed while she cares about her teammates, but it changed after Naruto was banished from the Leaf Village and never looked at her teammates the same again. She will work alongside them, but never forgive them, and will focus on the mission no matter if she likes or not. Xenovia narrowed her eyes as the green ninja dashed towards him and not saw what she started to summon. A yellow magic circle appeared before her and she grabbed one of her holy swords, being Durandal, and swung her sword towards the foolish ninja that was running towards her. Lee planned on killing the blue-haired knight with his flames of youth but failed to see the sword coming towards his legs and was wide open. Within a flash, the green ninja started to scream all of a sudden as his legs were cut off and bleed all over the floor. He groans in pain as he falls onto the ground while looking at his legs in horror. His life as a ninja was off when just a second and had no idea how it happened. It far now. Naruto-kun asked his mother to heal your legs after a bloody match and you spit at his face in return. I think it's far to lose your legs and never hurt my man again, Zenobia said with a grin forming up on her face and turned her attention towards the weapon's mistress. Tenten started to shake from the blue-haired knight's speed and strength to use a sword and almost drool from seeing Durandal. She was worried for her former teammate and wondered how she was going to over the knight's speed, but however she started to feel light-headed and slowly passes out from being hit from the back of her head. Sorry Tenten, but this was the only way, Naruto said as he watched the weapon mistress fall on the floor. I could have handled her, Naruto-kun, Zenobia said as she placed her sword on her shoulders to rest for a while. I know, but she, Ino, and a few others didn't cause any pain towards me, Zenobia-chan. Naruto replied before looking at the other girls and saw that they were winning. Should we help the others? Zenobia asked but had a feeling that her harem sisters can handle themselves against some weak ninjas. No, but I think the scarecrow could earn some pain. Best not to leave him out of this after the fools are done. Naruto responded with a smile on his face while thinking ideas to break white-haired pervert. Zenobia smirked at that and said, I have a few ideas too, Naruto-kun. Could I join you? Sure, Naruto said with a nod from his head while walking towards where the wolf held the pervert down. As this was going and the other girls were almost about done, the weak ninjas. Graphia versus Jiraiya. This wasn't much a fight since Jiraiya was idiot and looked at the maid like the pervert he was with lust in his eyes, making silver-haired Mane feel uneasy and upset at Toad Fool. Hey mess, I hope you had your fun with the brat, because it going to be your last, Jiraiya said with a smirk, planning on having some fun with the maid before using a mind-alter jutsu on her and the demon brat. Graphia narrowed her eyes at the pervert, knowing what was planning and thinking, making her sick and looked forward on breaking the pervert apart. Why is that? Graphia asked while having her aura sharpen, being ready to use. I don't need to tell a bitch like before I fuck you like the broken toy you will become, Jiraiya commented with lustful smile on his face and started to get ready to his justice. The old pervert man planned on using a seal to alter Naruto's mind and have his girls married Menma to keep the brat happy. The silver-haired Mane glared at the pervert and was not going to be used in some pervert game. She was crossed and was not going to hold back. Graphia summoned a blue magic circle before her as she launched a powerful spell of ice-based magic. The ice magic shouts at the pervert and casted him into a block of ice, being frozen inside out while having a pervert look on his face. The pervert had a view on thee and was happy to see that before he freezes out. This made the silver-haired maid eyes narrowed and snapped her fingers to cause some inner pain to the pervert. The ice cracked in the middle from the face towards the family jewels, making the old screamed in pain for having his area breaking apart and started to bleed all over his body. He will be lucky if he lives a few more years if not months with the pain he gained from the strongest queen. Graphia sighed as she rubbed her forehead with her right hand and was a little uneasy with the whole thing. She knows from the start that Naruto would not help the village that beat him into being their weapon and a fight will take place. The silver-haired maid had a feeling that she and other girls will need to help tonight when everything was said and done with the fools. Kuroka and Kaneko versus Kiba. Don't why that idiot want you two whores. A big-head bitch that has no shame in what clothing she wears and some stupid flat chest child to a fox demon. I bet he is weak and can't give bitches what a real alpha, Kiba commented with a prideful smirk on his face and had a few ideas to break the Nikos in front of him. However, that failed and one of the Nikos was very angry, both were mad, but the white-haired Neko was madder than her older sister. Kaneko dashed forward towards Kiba and started to unleash a hailstorm of punches towards the mutt's body and broken many bones in his body before punching him in the family jewels, causing to let out a girl-like scream like the bitch and beta dog he was. Kuroka walked over towards the bloody mutt with a smirk on her face and said, "Nya, well done Sharon. Your senjutsu is getting better." "Thanks, Oni-chan," Kaneko replied after calming down and punching the pervert dog with a blue flame punch into the gut and caused Kiba to cough out blood out his month. Oh my, that must have hurt mud, nya, Kuroka said with a smirk while giggling at the pain. Fuck you. You big Ed and flat child bitches. Kiba cursed out through pain before being punched in jaw by the whited-haired Neko and broke his teeth. Kuroka frowned before using her fingers to cast a magic ruin in the air and launched a purple fireball at the Mutt's family jewels, causing Kiba screamed loud as hell to the point he blacked in pain and bleed all over the floor. I was going to have Sharon use you as a punching bag, but with that comment I change my mind and hope you find someone that can the fix thing that makes you man, Kuroka said before turning around and had Kaneko walk with her towards the others. Rosweiss vs Asuma. Why do I need fight you when I can some drink and show a great time? Asuma asked with lust in his eyes and smirk on his face. No thanks, and from what I have been from Naruto-kun. You cheated on your first girl to some whores and became low scum of a man, Rosweiss said with her eyes narrowed and crossed her arms on her chest, making her become bigger and got the pervert to giggled. Asuma had stupid a pervert look on his face and started to plan on taking the white-haired rook for himself. He planned on taking her back to the Leaf Village and rub her to his ex-girl, then break them both. Rosweiss saw this and was no longer going to hold back on the cheater. Asuma had no luck in beating the rook of Naruto and dashed towards the rook to catch her off guard but failed and was bitch slapped in the face to knock him down onto the ground. Rosweiss then casted 3 magic circles to fire many kinds of spells at the smoker. He screamed in pain as the magic beams of energy cut through his skin and bones, breaking them apart and bleed onto the ground before was shocked by lightning bolts. The whited-haired rook fires more magic at the smoker, cheater and not going easy. For what Naruto had told her all about this ninja and how much he caused onto the blonde's older sister figure. So, this was far, and justice was given. Asuma was down for the count with many wounds on his body and took some deep breath as he tried to stand up but stopped when he saw the whited-haired woman was walking towards and now right next to him. For women to see you as a good person that is far to them is hard for me to see. And this is for what you did to Naruto-kun and his older sister, Rosweiss said with a glare before kicking the smoker in chin and broke his bones in month apart. At least Asuma won't be talking for a while with his lies and won't smoke. Rosweiss saw this was far and started to cast a magic circle onto the ninjas that have lost in magic seals, keeping in line and not awake up from the beaten. Can't be too careful now. With the others, Tiamat didn't fight but watched the whole thing with a smile on her face on weak the fools are and paid for their crimes against the man she loved. Now there was only 2 left and one of them was with the sadist. Oh, this should be good. Naruto and the girls were done with their weak ninjas and saw that Akano had Hinata cornered to a wall with lightning dancing out of her fingertips and had a sadist smile on her face, looking forward on using her lightning magic on the person that hurt the man she loved. The Hyuga saw that she that had no luck in beating the sadist woman nor the other girls. She then come up with plan to use the blonde like the toy she thought he is. Naruto, please save me from this whore. Hinata cried out with tears she forced to come down onto her face. Naruto narrowed his eyes while the girls glared at the person that dares to ask for help after what she did. These whores are trying to control you, Naru-kun. I can give something they couldn't, Hinata said while making the blonde's girls crossed for calling him Naru and made her happy to steal him once again into her side by seducing him. What's that? Naruto asked while keeping his narrowed eyes on the fool girl in front of him. True love and happiness. These whores can't give that to you, but I can, and please me help take the whores out. Hinata replied with a lovey smile on her face while tears stopped midway of her face and thought that she had seduced the blonde-haired teen. The Hyuga had everything planned and soon smiled in victory, thinking that she had won and will have her toy again on her side with true hidden love seducing method, but failed to see anger in the blonde's and his girl's eyes for what she said. Akano. No mercy, Naruto said with a small smile growing on his face. Akano smiled in sadist-like manner before launching a powerful bolt of thunder and lightning towards Hinata. The Hyuga woman watched in horror before screaming in pain on being hit by demonic and holy bolts of thunder and lightning while having her skin burning alive. The bolts stopped before going again, but with more power and caused the ninja to scream again in pain. This kept going for 5 more times it stopped, leaving a burnt body of the Hyuga woman and her streamed from the pain. That what you get, bitch, for trying to seal my man for what you have done to him, being all the devil's girls and dragon thoughts. You dared to call my girls whores and tried to take me after what you did, bitch. No way in hell I will be the same foolish person you played with back then. Hope you enjoy the gift on being Akino's toy for a while, Naruto said with a smirk on his face. The lightning bolt stopped when the Hinata pasted out from the pain and caused Akino to pout a little and her fun was cut short. Oh my, she down already. That's a shame. I would have more fun with my new toy, Akino said with giggled and licked her fingers with a small blush on her face. Naruto and the others sweat drop at Akino's sadist behavior, but that who she is and we're fine with that. Now that's taken care, I think we have one more guest to take care of. It will be rude to leave him out, Naruto-kun, Tiamat said, making good point and pointed at the scarecrow ninja that was slowly becoming a new crew toy for the wolf. Naruto nodded his head in agreement and said, "Quite right, Tiamat-chan. It would be rude to leave Kakashi Baka out of this and I have something in mind for him." "Oh? And what punishment will that be, Naruto-kun?" Akino asked, looking forward and causing pain onto the scarecrow. "No spoilers, Akino-chan," Naruto replied with a smile on his face, causing Akino to pout, but changed to a smile and wonder what punishment her boyfriend has in mind. The other girls wonder the same and had some ideas in mind what Naruto will do onto Kakashi. Anything can happen, but let's wait and see. There is only one left and punishment will come to the white-haired scarecrow. The blonde and his girls walked over towards where Fenrir was holding the scarecrow down. "You damn brat. This is what you treat us after all we done for you," Kakashi said with a glare before grunting in pain as the wolf digs his claws into his shoulders. "Yes," Naruto said simply as he reached forward into Scarecrow's ninja kit for something. Kakashi wondered at first, but his face paled and formed into a horror look as he saw what the blonde-haired teen had in his hand. His pervert books were in the hands of the blonde. "I never liked these trashy books," Naruto said with disliking look on his face before handing them to Revel. "Yes, very trashed books. This pervert ninja has no shame walking around and reading pervert books in daylight. I think I have way to deal with it for everyone," Revel said with a smile on her face and had idea in mind. The other girls and Naruto saw a gleam in the Phoenix's eyes, knowing what she has in mind and were glad for what comes next. Revel summoned fire in her hands before setting the pervert books on fire, destroying them in front of Kakashi. The whited-haired pervert had tears in his eye as he was forced to watch the books burning in front of him and looked at the blonde with deadly glare but was stopped when the crimson-haired woman bitch slapped him in the face. "You all screwed up the moment you banished Naruto-kun. You don't have any rights to claim something or someone as your property that you throw away," Ria said with her eyes narrowed towards the scarecrow. "I believe that we should have the three factions or Michael and Gabriel in present and see how well they judge and what punishments you all deserve for your transgressions against Naruto-kun," Graphia added on while having her own glare on the ninjas. The other girls agreed to that, but the blonde was thinking and thought of something different. He soon felt a familiar draconic aura that was coming towards the household and he was not only one. Tiamat had also felt the aura too and know what was going to happen next in a few minutes. As much Naruto would love that, but he can't and wants the leaf to just get out of here. It doesn't mean he can't do one more thing before ninjas get kicked back into their home world. "I have something else in mind. You, Kakashi, are going back to your world with you failed ninjas and give that hellhole of a village a message for me. I want my peace and quiet, and if I see any one of your ninjas or you again, I won't not break them like my girls and I did but kill them and give the body bags. I'm no longer your weapon or some toy to play before throwing it away. I'm my own person and will longer be a ninja from the Leaf Village. You understand, right, Scarecrow?" Naruto said with his eyes narrowed and took a knee in front of the whited-haired ninja. Kakashi didn't answer at first but changed when Fenrir bit down on the shoulder and caused him to scream in pain. Naruto and the girls won't affect by it and just look like nothing happened. "Do you understand?" Naruto asked while tapping his dragon arm on the white-haired ninja's forehead. Kakashi couldn't speak now but nodded his head quickly in pain and soon the pain stopped. Naruto smiled as his right arm was covered draconic aura and had idea smirk on his face that girls know what he was going to do next. "Good, but in case you forget the message, here is something to remind you," Naruto said as he reached forward with his right hand towards the hidden eye. Kakashi started to pain and become frightened all of a sudden. The ninja knows what was going to happen next and started to move out of the wolf's hold, but he groaned in pain on having claws digging deeper into his skin. Naruto's hand was covered in red magic as he started to grab the cloth that keep the eye hidden and started to burn it off to his item in front of him. He grabbed the eye of the scarecrow while the wolf holds him down. The white-haired ninja started to scream out loud before his mouth was covered by the same cloth that kept his eye hidden, making him be quiet as the eye was ripped out of him. This was payback to him and the other ninja that caused him pain. Soon the ninja blacked from the pain and dropped onto the floor. Weak, Naruto mumbled as he crashed the eye before him in his right hand and sighed from the whole thing. Before anything else, a purple magic circle appeared out of nowhere and teleported the leaf ninjas away. At first Naruto, the girls, and Wolf were taken back, but soon understand who used that magic and who it belongs to. It also belonged to the draconic aura that the red and blue dragon felt before, and the others started to feel a bit, having the idea who it was and understand the whole thing. I take it that we should have the dates on hold for the day, Naruto-kun, a familiar female voice said, getting the others to look at the voice and know who it was. Yasaka had finally came down from putting her daughter away and placed a soundproof seal on bedroom for the adults to talk. Naruto smiled sadly on what the fox said was true as the dragon arm disappeared in a green flash away and the blonde started to sit down on the main sofa from the whole thing that happened. Why can't they leave me alone? I have everything I ever wanted and yet the ones that caused me pain can't leave me alone, Naruto said as he placed his right hand on his forehead with his eyes closed and sighed deeply. The girls saw how much this affected their boyfriend and what pain he had to deal with for so long. Naruto had helped everyone as his king's peerage, and others before himself. He had some nightmares of his past but pushed it aside for his new life and enjoy life he loves so much. The blonde-haired teen was about to say something but felt something on and soon opened his eyes to see his girls resting on him. Rias rested on the blonde's right shoulder as she rested on his right side. Akano rested on the left shoulder as she rested on left side. Grafia and Yasaka rested behind as they wrapped their arms around the neck and placed him on their lap, being on each leg. Revel and Kaneko took his lap, hugging him and rested on his chest. Rosweiss and Tiamat took his hips and placed their heads on it. Kuroka was in her black cat form and rested onto his head. No word was spoken, but Naruto smiled and closed his eyes in the warm embrace with his girls. He may have to face his past again, but he knows that he won't do alone and that makes him happy. Wow, you all had a party without us, Coriana commented with a smirk on her face from seeing what happened when she and most of the other girls were away. Coriana, Jean, Asia, Lefei, and Tsubasa were back while the other devils were doing their own thing around town. Valerie was with Gasper, both were going shopping for some clothes and won't be back for a while. Grafia gives Coriana a blank look with one eyebrow raised as she helped Akano, Zenovia, Rosweiss, and Tiamat in cleaning the mess up from what happened with the leaf ninjas. Kuroka raised an eyebrow as she lay down on the sofa like a lazy cat. Fenrir was walking outside and doing dog things like marking his spots and digging for some bones in back yield. Kaneko and Revel shook their heads as they dusted a little around the living room before sitting down. The other girls had arrived to see the mess being cleaned up and could not see their boyfriend around at all. Grafia, where is Naruto-kun, Rias, and Yasaka? Asia asked, seeing that the blonde-haired teen was no longer in the living. Rias and Yasaka were also not in the living room for some reason. Most thought that the two were going after Naruto for a big moment but changed when the silver-haired maid told them about what the Leaf Village wanted of him and it caused some pain in his heart from remembering little of his past. They are with Kuno to check if she is fine from feeling our auras all the sudden and later sometime during the day. Naruto-kun will have to make a call to the 3 faction leaders. Grafia replied as she finished with cleaning the rugs and cast a magic to make them brand new. Why the sudden call for the leaders, Grafia-sama? Lefei asked as she and the other girls put the foods away. Lefei will add Sama to anyone names and sometimes Naruto if she can't help it. Because of the leaf ninjas coming here all the sudden while we have no idea how they did, and someone teleported them back to the homeworld. It does need the sudden call and a meeting will come about. I wonder how will Naruto-kun deal with his past coming up all the sudden? Grafia informed while thinking about what her boyfriend might be going through. This caused many to wonder what the silver-haired maid said and thought about their boyfriend's past. They all know about Naruto's past and the mask he wears to hide his pain. The mask covers many of his scars he gained both on his body and mind. Not many could break the mask, but center magic girl Satan confronted him and broke through the mask, which caused him to open up to others and started the healing process. To this day the mask is no longer needed. Naruto was healed, but today was different, and the past has come up again. The girls of the harem have the right to be a worry for the man they love so much. Naruto-kun will do just fine, Graphia, because he has us with him, Jean said with a smile on her face. Asia nodded her head in agreement and said, yes, Naruto-kun has us to be there for him, and I'm happy to be there for him when the time comes. Tsubasa smirked at the two blondes' comment and said, if anyone could come back for the hit, it's Naruto-kun, and he will always have us to be at his side. Yep, Lefei agreed with a smile on her face and nodded her head in a happy manner. Same here. I am not going to let some weak ninjas hurt Naruto-kun or bring him back to a village he hates. He has us and we have him, Coriana said with a smile on her face. This caused Graphia, Akeno, Kuroka, Xenovia, Roswise, Tiamat, Kaneko, and Revelta smiled at their fellow harem sisters' words about their man, knowing their words were true and that all of them will be there for Naruto like he does for them. And in speaking of the blonde, let's see what's going on with him and the other girls that are with him upstairs. Upstairs we see Naruto and Yasaka washing their daughter, Kuno, for the day and changed into new clothes for the rest of the evening. Rias watched from the sides as she brushed her long hair with a small smile on her face and looked the mirror. "Tu-san, are you mad?" Kuno asked as her mother washed her face and father her back. "No, why?" Naruto asked, being taken back at Kuno asking him that question. He was happy with a smile on his face and had no reason to be upset whatsoever. "The people that hurt you came back and wanted you to save them. Are you mad they find you or demand things from you where they can't, Tu-san?" Kuno asked while her mother finished cleaning her face. Naruto smiled at his stepdaughter for being smarter than she looks. Kuno may be young and could be strong like her mother in her teens one day. She did lead the Kyoto's Yukai faction for a short while and shown great promise to make her parents proud of her. "I was mad, yes, but I'm not going to let them control me or my life. I'm happy to be with my family and you, Kuno-chan, in the era of peace to enjoy," Naruto replied as he rubbed Kuno's cheeks with his right hand. Kuno smiled at her father's words and was happy to have a family to enjoy. "That's good to hear, Naru-kun. I'm sorry that today's dates will be put on hold for a while," Yasaka said as she finished cleaning her daughter up and drained the bathtub of its water. "That's fine, Yasaka-chan. I can make it up to everyone for another day for dates, and I think my other girls would want to sleep me for the night to make it up to them," Naruto answered as he grabbed a towel to dry his daughter off. "True, but we can wait for when the night comes. It's still noon and we have some time to enjoy the rest of the day," Rias agreed as she finishes brushing her hair and walked towards the blonde-haired teen. "Yeah," Naruto said with a smile on his face, agreeing to relax the afternoon with his girls. Naruto will enjoy his time with his girls, but he must not forget in making a call to the three faction leaders on what happened. That should be the last thing he doses before turning in for the night, but that can wait, and the blonde will enjoy the rest of the day with his girls. Time skip. The afternoon made its way towards the evening for the devils, dragon, and wolf quickly than they thought, and all of them enjoyed the day like anyone else would. Yuto had come back from his date with Tsubaki and was fun for them. The movie Frozen led them to walk around town for lunch before parting away for the evening. So, two maybe lovebirds had a fun day and hope to go for another one. Naruto, Graphia, Roswise, and Revel sat on the main sofa, working on the light novels or books for the underworld and human world to enjoy. The blonde-haired teen started writing books about many adventures and history of all different factions from his point of view. The books made a big hit and help was needed. Graphia self-edits the light novels and reads them over with Naruto on anything they can find together for the books. Roswise runs the money, no surprise there, and manages the funds towards everyone else to have a fair share. Revel is the main manger for the blonde's light novels to post the books out to the public and does a great job at it. Valerie, Lefei, Coriana, and Gasper were playing Go Fish to pass the time. Xenovia and Yuto had just gotten back from a little sparring for training and rest down to join the game. Kuroka and Kaneko joined in the card game after their senjutsu lesson. Fenrir was drinking water out his bowl before walking around the livening room and rest on one of the sofas. Rias, Akeno, and Asia were cooking dinner for everyone and wore aprons that matched their hair color. They were cooking white rice with butter, eggs, and red salmon to a Japanese style. Naruto would cook, but he had worked on his books and the three girls offered to cook for the night. Before anyone else could finish or do anything else, a sound of the doorbell ring got everyone's attention towards the main doors of the house and wonder who was at the door. Naruto sighed as he stood up and walked towards the doors. I will get that. I wonder who that can be. Naruto asked himself as he walked towards the door and opened it for who was at the door. Before the blonde-haired teen could see who was at the door or say anything, he was hugged by someone that caused to lose his balance but regained it to see who was hugging him all sudden and smiled on finding out who was hugging him. He used his wind magic to close and lock the main doors as he enjoyed his angel as back home. Irina Shido, the angel, and Ace of Michael had come back home from a mission and hugged her boyfriend. She is a beautiful young woman with chestnut hair and violet eyes. Her hair is usually tied into twin tails, each held with a blue scrunchie, but on some occasions, she lets her hair down. She wears a light purple shirt with white strips marks on her sleeves, blue jeans, and white sports shoes for running. Hey Irina-chan, Naruto greeted with a smile on his face as he hugged his Angle girlfriend. It's nice to see again Naruto-kun. I miss you, Irina greeted back with a smile on her face. I miss you too, Irina-chan, my angel, Naruto answered as he held his angel girlfriend and smiled in the warm embrace. Once the two ended their hug, Naruto helped Irina with her bags and walked towards the living room to surprise everyone to who was back. The angel of Michael had met Naruto during the mid-teens in England and played like friends would, which they become friends. Soon enough Irina and her partner, Xenovia, went to Kuo, Japan to find the holy swords that were taken from the church by Rouge fallen angels and were set to find them. When they met later, the chestnut girl was surprised that her friend was a devil and had a hard time agreeing with it, but later was fine with it and went along with the mission. Sometime after the holy sword mission, she became an angel and now has a total of 4 wings. Irina had feelings for Naruto but could never open them due to on being an angel and afraid of falling. It took a long while for them to open their feelings up, but the blonde-haired teen asked the angel out on a date during their winter break to open their feelings towards each. Once finding out her feelings are pure, she kissed the devil and didn't fall, making them happy and later started their relationship to the next level. Guess who's came back? Naruto asked as he and Irina walked into the living room. This got everyone attention and could tell that who was here made the blonde-haired teen happy. They soon saw Irina and smiled at her for coming home. Before the angel could say anything, she was jumped into a group hug by Xenovia, Jean, and Asia as she hugged her friends back. Welcome back Irina. Asia greeted her friend as she and other friends give the angel friend some space. How was your trip? Jean asked. Alright for the most part, Irina responded. How so? Xenovia asked, wondering what her friend meant. Nothing too bad, just airports had some problems that my flight to wait longer and the church have been opening homes for kids that don't have homes. Irina replied with a smile on her face, remembering the time she spent with children and played with them. That's great to hear that the church has taken in my children in the Lord's name, Asia said, smiling at how the church was doing and taking a change for once. The blonde-haired nun and her fellow friends put their hands together and started to pray for the good news. Amen, Irina, Jean, Xenovia, and Asia said in the union to pray and caused some devils in the living room to have headaches all of a sudden from the pray. Naruto sighed with a small smile on his face while shaking his head of the pray. Sure, he felt a little headache, but he has dealt with it before and nothing to him or the others. The reason why Xenovia, Asia, and Jean could pray without being in pain was that their boyfriend had asked a request for Michael to allow them to pray evening if they're devils. So yeah, there was that, and moving on. Before anything else, a knock was heard from the door again and caused everyone to wonder yet again who was at the door. I will get it, Naruto said with a sigh leaving his lips and started to make his way towards the door for another guest again. The blonde-haired teen wondered who was at his door this time and started to feel a familiar aura at the door, but who? Those thoughts were pushed aside when he opens the door to answer who at it and soon smiled at the new guest he knows all too well. Sona Citri, heiress of the Citri clan, a childhood friend of Rias and girlfriend to Naruto. She is a young bespectacled woman with a slim figure, black hair styled in a short bob cut and violet eyes. She wears a white dress shirt, a black jacket, skirt, leggings, and dress shoes. The blonde had met the black-haired heiress during their time at school and at lunch for a chess game, to the point they kept being on draws and have no winners in their chess game. Naruto has high points in Sona and believes in her for her dream of building a rating game school for every rank. Sona at first didn't know what to think of Naruto due to him on wearing a mask and not opening to others that care about him, but changed when her older sister broke through the mask and he started to open to everyone he cares about. The two went on dates before starting their relationship and kept their engagement on hold. Fun fact: Naruto is engaged to 4 people in his harem and were said to be married, but they want to wait a little while before taking the big step, and the blondes have a special idea in mind. Now that's out of the way, let's get back to the story with our blonde-haired hero. Good afternoon, Sona-chan. Naruto greeted his other girlfriend with a smile on his face and allowed her to come in. Good afternoon to you too, Naruto-kun. Sona greeted with a smile as she walked into the house. I take it you want to join in for dinner and some downtime with me? Naruto asked as he took his girlfriend's jacket off and hung it. Sona allowed the jacket to come off and said, yes, and Rias told me that you have faced your past. Naruto didn't say anything at first as he placed the coat away and was not surprised that Rias had called her childhood friend of what happened. They do share the man they love, and the crimson-haired devil would have called her friend on what happened. I see, but I'm fine now, Sona-chan, Naruto said with a small smile on his face. I can tell, but know that we are here for you, Naruto-kun, Sona said with a smile on her face as she got closer to hug Naruto. Naruto hugged Sona back in a warm embrace for a while before they made their way towards the living room to join in for dinner. Time skip. As the nighttime comes and dinner was done, the devils, dragon, foxes, and wolf rested for the afternoon before going in for the night. The afternoon was slow, and things got done faster than anyone thinks. Work on books, training to not fall behind, and some housework was done for the day. Naruto held Kuno in his arms as he and Yasaka read their daughter a bedtime story to help her fall asleep quicker for the night. Fenrir rests in a dog bed in the living room, and the other girls went upstairs to surprise their boyfriend. I think it's time for little Kuno to get some sleep for the night, Yasaka said as she got up from the sofa and her boyfriend followed behind. I agree. I will take Kuno-chan to her room and met you in the main room, Naruto agreed as he and the fox walk upstairs. Fenrir slept downstairs and smiled in his sleep for his master. Evening today he faced a little bit of his past. The blonde pushed it aside and not allowed the pain of his past to hurt him. The wolf was happy for his master and will be at his side no matter what. Naruto had made him towards his stepdaughter's room, that was far away from his room, and will come in if something happens. He opens the door and made his way towards the bed to place Kuno down to rest for the night. He placed her down while pulling the covers over her and give her a kiss on the cheeks, causing her to smile in her sleep as she rested for the night. The blonde-haired teen smiled at his daughter as he left the room while being careful not to wake her up and started to make his way towards the main room. He wonders what his girls have in mind for the night and knows it won't be something overbroad, but something relaxing for them to enjoy. That's good for his part for now and wants to wait for the right time. Naruto soon opens the doors of his bedroom and soon blushed in deep red of what his girls had in mind for the night. His girls were wearing bras and panties with log stocking with garter belts, and the blonde-haired teen was lost for words. Rias wore red with purple, Akano wore dark purple, Kuroka wore white, Yasaka wore yellow, Graphia wore silver, Sona wore black, Asia wore green, Zenobia wore blue with green, Irina wore white, Roswise wore white with blue, Coriana wore light purple, Tiamat wore sky blue, Valerie wore pink, Jean wore orange, Tsubasa wore dark blue, Kaneko wore blue, Ravel wore bright yellow, and Lefei wore blue with yellow. Naruto was so shocked that he didn't saw Yasaka using her tails to drag him into bed for the night, and the girls started relaxing in the warm bed with their boyfriend. The blonde soon got over his shock and blushed face with a smile on his face and started to close his eyes to relax with his girls. He had everything he ever wanted and won't try anything for it. He knows that he will have to be in a meeting with the 3 faction leaders about what happened between him and the Leaf Ninjas, but he shook those thoughts aside and started to fall asleep in the warm embrace with his girls. Kyoto, Japan. While the happy group relaxes for the night, something was going and happening in Kyoto, Japan. A group of Leaf Ninjas were still in the New World and have no idea that their allies have disappeared back to the Leaf Village. The group was being watched by a powerful being not far away and watched them until this coming up with the idea to surprise the blonde-haired devil. My Naruto will be happy with this surprise, a voice said in the night, being a female and spoke in the monotone of voice. With a snap of a finger, a purple magic circle appeared underneath the Leaf Ninja group and teleported them away until it was time to meet Naruto again. While this goes on, something was happening. The Kyoto's ley line is going all sudden with massive charka pulsing throughout the area and something was waking. Who or what is unknown but was growing and building strength as each day goes by. Unknown location. So, your past has come back, my rival, Naruto. How will you overcome this? A good question, and I have a feeling that in the next 3 faction meeting will be interesting. A male voice spoke as he looks up into the night sky with his eyes narrowed. Time skip. As the morning came by, a meeting was going to happen, and it will be a long one. The meeting is about what happened and how to deal with the Konoha. The 3 faction leaders will have the meeting with their allies about the matter at hand. Naruto had called the leaders about what happened the other day and they understood why there must be a meeting. If the Konoha had found a way to come into this world just to find the blonde in hopes to win a war that has nothing to do with him, then that will be a problem and could cause some troubles for all of the factions. Most of the Leaf Ninja has been to be more prideful than devils, lustful than fallen angels, and only care about gaining power when it's not theirs. So there needed to be a meeting on how they will deal with the Konoha. We soon find Naruto getting ready for the day and got dressed after a relaxing shower with his girls. The meeting with the 3 faction and their allies was going to be at Kuo in the afternoon. So, the blonde, his friends and girls had some downtime before going into a meeting. He had a few ideas on how the meeting will go down, but he knew for a fact that anything can happen. He will worry about that later and enjoy the time he had before the meeting. The blonde-haired teen was so lost in his own thoughts, he failed to notice that one of his girls was nearby and walked towards him. Then he felt something up against his back and a pair of arms wrapped around his neck. The blonde smiled, knowing who was behind him, and held one of the hands with his own. "Are you going to the meeting, Naru-kun?" the girl asked, being Rias. "I am. The meeting will start in the afternoon. That gives me time to relax and spend time with you before the meeting," Naruto replied as he held his girl's hands and smiled at the feeling of the calm embrace. What ideas do you have in mind, Naru-kun?" Rias asked, wondering what her boyfriend had planned for the day. Naruto shrugged his shoulders and said, "Don't know yet, but I believe we figure something out." Rias smiled at her boyfriend's words and understand what's going on with him today. She and other girls could tell that during the meeting Naruto will have to make a call on if he wants to go back to his former homeworld and fix some problems or leave it to rot. He still has some friends there and wished to see them again, but the pain he gained from the Leaf Village was still there and could cloud his vision in anger if things get out of hand. The crimson-haired devil shook her head and knew that Naruto will not fall in his own anger because he has a new life. He can be happy and has girls who love him for who he is. Rias knows the man she loves will do just fine and will enjoy his life as he has before. The meeting will start in the afternoon, but she and her harem sisters were going to enjoy their time with the man they love. Time skip. Naruto and his girls had spent their time together for a good morning and now was early afternoon, which was going slow for everyone. The blonde-haired teen was training to keep himself in shape and get stronger. It never hurts to get some training in. He will often train by himself or with his friends and girls to help get them stronger, but he believes that true strength comes from when he protects others than himself and the one he cares about. And now he was finished with his training and started to sit down, cross-legging his legs, and started meditating. Meditating helps train not just the body, but the mind and builds on mental strength. Naruto was doing that but also wanted to talk to someone deep in his mind for some help and thoughts on the matter at hand. He took some deep breaths in and out before his whole mind went white and started to go into his mindscape. Naruto's mindscape. The blonde had changed his mindscape from sewers to a nice hotel after his fox friend was gone. He misses the nine-tailed beast for giving his life to have this new life to enjoy, but he shook his head and moved on from the past to the now. Soon a figure started to appear in front of Naruto, causing him to smile and watch the figure coming to him. A woman with long, wavy blonde hair decorated with a head accessory and wore a light purple dress appeared before the blonde and smiled at her student. This woman was the strongest female possessor of boosted gear and known as the Red Dragon Empress. Her name is Elsha, the Lightning Dragon Queen of Boosted Gear. Naruto had met Elsha when he defeated Loki's curse and looks deep within himself to unlock his inner full power to become the true Red Dragon Emperor. The Red Dragon Empress was touched by the blonde's hard work to become stronger to help the people he cares about and never let his pride get in the way. She vowed to stay with him and never let him lose himself by reminding him to love himself and the people he cares about. She never disappeared but stay around, and Diedrich was fine with that. "Hello Naru-kun," Elsha greeted with a warm smile. "Hello Elsha-chan," Naruto greeted back with a smile on his face, being happy to see her again. "I take it that your past has come back and left you with questions, Naru-kun," Elsha said as she took a seat in the main living room of the hotel. Naruto nodded his head as he took a seat next to the Lightning Dragon Queen. "Yes. What troubles me on how they got here and by what means?" Naruto asked, praying that the means to get here was not something sinful. The blonde-haired had a few ideas but didn't want to think about it and still prayed for no sinful insertions. Anything can happen, and he had a feeling that someone will explain it soon enough. "I can't say for sure Naru-kun, but I have faith that you will not allow your past to form your future. You fought the past and proved to the past hosts of Boosted Gear wrong. I have faith you will do that again," Elsha said with a smile on her face, causing her fellow blonde to be happy. "Thanks, Elsha-chan," Naruto said, thanking the fellow blonde. Elsha smiled back at Naruto as the mindscape was coming undone and the blonde was waking up. End of mindscape. Naruto's eyes snap open as he took some deep breaths and was fully awake. He smiled that Elsha had helped him and was grateful to have her in his life like the other girls he loved. It saddens him that she will never gain a body and her soul will be forever trapped within Boosted Gear. Though, he promises to help her gain a body to walk with him in a new life on the day. The blonde-haired teen got up from his meditative position and up on his feet to walk around his training room but failed to notice a certain blue-haired sword wielder, leaning against the wall. Zenobia had walked in to see her boyfriend mediating and decided to leave him alone until he was done, which he was now, and then she will act. Zenobia walked towards her boyfriend as he was deep in thought and hugged his right arm to get him out his thoughts. Naruto was out his thoughts when he saw his little blue bird hugging his arm, and he hugged her back while putting his head on top of her as her head rests on his chest. "Rias told me to find and remind you that the meeting will take place later in the afternoon like you planned," Zenobia informed. "I see," Naruto said, understanding the meeting was set and what's ahead. "Trouble?" Zenobia asked, seeing her shared boyfriend in deep thought. "Not as much, but yeah, little trouble, Zenobia-chan. I will have to make a call on whatever or not I should help the place that is the source of my pain. It's an odd placement for me," Naruto answered, honestly, and had a feeling his answers will be the same no matter how long he thought over it. "I see, but you should remember this, Naruto-kun. I and the rest of your girls will stay with you all the way, no matter what you do. You helped us through a lot, asking little in return, but you are happy in the end and we are happy as well. I have faith you will make the right choice," Zenobia said with a smile on her face and got her face closer to the blonde. Naruto smiled at the kindness and soon leaned forward to capture the blue-haired knight's lips. The kiss was simple and kind, nothing wild as this wasn't the time for that, in quick motion as the pair part ways with their smiles not going away. "Thanks, Zenobia-chan. I need that and I love you, my little bluebird," Naruto said as he hugged the blue-haired woman close to him. "You're welcome, Naruto-kun, and I love you too, my dragon," Zenobia replied as the two relax in the warm embrace. The pair relaxed for a while before moving on and head down to the living room to see a few girls doing their own thing on the sofas. The wolf was nowhere to be seen and the blonde could guess that he was outside doing his dog things like marking or finding his bones. Yeah, dog things indeed, and moving on which a walk was needed. Naruto soon walked outside after having Zenobia hanging out with Revel, Kaneko, and Asia for a moment as he looks for Fenrir. The blonde found the wolf digging up some bones up to take a bite of, before hiding somewhere else in the backyard for later. He smiled as he watched his friend go about his business and started to feel that someone or two were watching him, getting him to narrow his eyes a little and be on guard. A familiar scent hits his nose and caused Fenrir to growl a little but was calmed down when Naruto shook his head and showed that he was going to be dealing with this on his own. The wolf calmed down at this but kept his guard up and the two waited for their guest to show up. Within the trees in the backyard, Menma and Naruto had been glaring deeply at their failure brother with anger and hatred. They are giving everyone the slip during the small battle and teleportation of the losers by hiding in a camp for the next morning to strike. The pair waited to strike, and now mid-afternoon was the best time to strike as their target was out and all alone. The siblings believed that their failure brother is only strong because of his whores, and without them, he is nothing. Such fools, and they will find out the hard way. Naruto started to sense the rotten siblings close by and started to gather some of his magic to deal with his rude unwanted guests. He didn't need to use the boosted gear as it will be overkill, and he has different ways of dealing with some rude guests. Time to start the party and send another message to that cursed village. Die, you bastard! Menma shouted in pure rage, having enough of waiting, and jumped at the blonde in pure anger in his eyes and draw out a kunai to stab. Naruto just stood calmly as lightning danced around his right arm and smirked as he got his target right where he wants him. He reached outwards to grab the hand that was closing in on him and had his lightning stop the muscle in that said hand from working, cutting the nerves out and left the attacker wide open. It's rude to attack someone from behind and use toys like that, baka. And now, a taste to things to come. Fire Dragon Roar. Naruto roared, taking a deep breath before letting and launching a powerful flame blast like a flamethrower out of his mouth towards Menma. Menma screamed in bloody murder as he was burning alive and was let go of in order to roll around in ground to shake the flames off. It works, but not good enough as the flames kept burning him. He was alive, yes, but will need a good medic if he will stay alive. Naruto was in shock of this brutality and was about to lose her lunch but held herself together. She soon looked back at her target and saw that he was looking at her with a smirk on his face, causing the only daughter of the Yondaime Hokage to stop dead in her tracks and figured out what just happened. He had known, and she was next as she saw yellow lightning coming out. Naruto appeared in front of Naruto within an instant with the lightning dance of his fists and shouted, "Lightning Dragon Iron Fist." Naruto screamed and groaned in pain as Naruto punched her in the stomach, causing the blood to cough up and was launched back into the ground. The young woman coughed in pain as the lightning sparked and groaned as she wasn't going to move for a while. Little did Menma and Naruto know is that Naruto did more damage than they thought. Before a word could be spoken, a purple magic circle soon teleported the two away and out of this world before Naruto's eyes. The blonde now knew who used that magic circle and wonder what her game is. I wonder what's your game, Office. But I had a feeling you will show me soon, and it will at the meeting. I can worry about that and her when the time comes. At least I don't have to worry about those people anymore for the time being, and I can't wait to see their faces at what I've done to the pride of their village. Naruto thought with a smirk on his face and soon patted Fenrir on the head to relax him. The Red Dragon Emperor has some time before the meeting, and he had a feeling that it will be interesting. Leaf Village. What was once a proud village was now a shameful place to live in, which is a story for another time as we look at the village's Hokage. Minato Namikaze was not having a good day and things were still going downhill for him. He had finished the meeting with the failed ninja team to get Naruto back from a new world, only to return after being handed a crushing defeat. The group was broken and fourth Hokage had nothing left. He was getting too worried for his children, as Menma and Naruto had yet to return. The blonde-haired Hokage thought that his children will bring back the failure, and it was the only way, as Naruto must be the village's weapon to turn the tide of the war in their favor. Before Minato could say or do anything, a purple magic circle appeared before his eyes and showed the condition of his two children. Menma was burned alive with little skin and clothes left, while Naruto was groaning in pain. "Get in here," and called in the medics. Now, Minato shouted in horror, ordering the ninjas to take his kids away. Short time skip. "I am sorry, Hokage, we were able to save your children, but I'm afraid there's bad news," the head nurse said. Minato and Kushina were waiting in the hospital to hear their kids' health, only for their blood to run cold at being told there was some bad news. "What is it?" Kushina asked. The nurse sighed and started to read the news of the charts. Not only has Menma suffered deep burn marks that were caused by a powerful fire attack that has also caused some other things we can't handle, but he was also castrated. Naruto is fine for the most part but is in deep pain and sadness that her ovaries and womb is fired by a powerful lightning attack. "I'm sorry, but they won't be able to have kids anymore." Kushina started to cry out in anguish, becoming a deep mess of what happened to her babies. They won't be able to have kids of their own, and the future of their bloodline was gone unless they could get Naruto back. Minato was furious that Naruto would have done this and ended his bloodline. He will make sure the brat will pay for this, and this wasn't the worst part. What will happen if the whole Leaf Village knows that the children of their beloved fourth Hokages are unable to have kids? It will be a dark day, and there was more to come. When he thought that this couldn't be anything worse, it just did, and there is more to come. Within the shadows of the village, a young man smirked evilly and saw the seeds being planted for him. He now must wait in order to strike at the dragon and everyone he held dear. But he can wait for his revenge against the Red Dragon Emperor for what he has done to the old Satan faction and ruining the plans for New World Order. So, revenge can wait, as everything was coming together. The sun sets down for the night come as Naruto walks towards where the three faction leaders and their allies are to have their meeting about Konoha and the trouble that may or not come. Anything can happen, and the blonde hopes for something good can go by, but again, anything can happen. Naruto was at Kuo Academy and walked towards the Orc, or also known as the Occult Reacher Club building. The club was a cover-up, like other student clubs, for devils and their peerage's members, such as Rias, Sona, and Naruto himself, for example. A good fact is that this building held a good number of meetings between three factions of several times before some other factions join into Team DXD. Good times, very good time. And now with the blondes, girls and Wolf coming, the meeting will start soon enough as they enter the building. Naruto and his girlfriends were now in the meeting room, waiting for the other members of each faction, and the wait wasn't long as they all came in by teleportation circles. The first was the Devil faction, as 4 members came from the circles, as they were Sirzex Lucifer and his wife, Queen Mikoto Lucifer ne Uchiha, Seraphal Leviathan and her queen Ingvild Leviathan. Ingvild Leviathan is a descendant of the original Leviathan, as she has long purple hair and orange eyes, as she appears as her late teens, as her figure was the same as Rossweiss, as her dress was something else. She wears a white noble dress, wiki for better looks. Naruto and the others found her being chased by members of the old Satan faction and rescued her. When she thanks them and told them who she is, this shocked the group. Well, instead of Naruto, as he was pissed at the old faction for treating their younger generations like tools. They call both Sirzex and Seraphal about this and what to happen. The two weren't pleased of the news they heard, and Seraphal decided to make her as her queen to fix the bad blood and train her in her ice magic. They are good friends, and later, to their surprise, she's the possessor of the Longinus Nereid Kyrie. Both Naruto and Ingvild got along with each other, as she laughs at some of his pranks, saddened on how his old home treated him, mad at his former parents, and later they became a couple. The second that came was the leader of the Fallen faction, led by Azazel and his best friend Barakiel, who is Akino's father, but they weren't alone. Rainer, Kalawarner, and Middle were there and happened to know the blonde very well. Naruto spared them as they were puppets under Kokabiel, and their punishment was to be maids to Azazel. The fallen angel leader noticed the three had felt toward the blonde, as he was kind to them when he met the three at a cafe, and allowed their punishment to be light at a time. They are the blonde's girls, and on a good note so far. The third was the angel faction led by Michael, with his sister Gabriel right beside him, and with her was her queen, Griselda Quarta, who is Zenovia's adopted mother. The two and another angel, who that is not here now, are Naruto's girlfriends. At first, was ought to be with Griselda, but Zenovia said it was okay as she liked the mother and daughter love thing. The fourth was the Yukai faction led by Yasaka herself, since she was already here, but another came to be by her side and her close friend to her and one of Naruto's girlfriends or mate. The woman had the same body figure as Yasaka has, as she has a regal appearance, flowing silky silver hair that cascaded down her back, sharp elf-like ears, heart-shaped face, thin eyebrows, and piercing amber eyes. She wore a white kimono tied closed with a yellow sash, as the said kimono was having a hard time to keep her in, as her skirt was short, as it showed her long, milky, shapely legs along with a sinfully plump butt as well. This woman is Setsuna, the daughter of Toga, the deceased Inu no Teisho, the great dog general, or Inu no Daiokai, the great dog demon, that once served the Yukai faction, but Setsuna was a Dai Yukai, a higher Yukai than the normal Yukais, and one would think that Toga should lead the Yukai faction, but he didn't want to, as he was a better leader to his soldiers than leading a faction. Female Sesshomaru. Now how did Naruto meet Setsuna? Well, during the school trip to Kyoto, Naruto saw Setsuna at night once as she was looking at the full moon, but when she saw him, she attacked him right off, since she sensed his devil powers from him and thought that he was a threat. The fight lasted only for 2 hours straight as he became the victor and told her that he and the others weren't a threat to the Yukai faction. She was a great help to him and the others on rescuing her friend Yasaka from the hero faction led by Cao Cao, winning and gaining a new ally Jin. The two got along great as they spar with each other and talking with Yasaka, but when leaving Kyoto, Setsuna drops the bomb on him that she was now his mate, as this made his girlfriends drop their jaws to the ground. Yasaka giggled and tell him it was Setsuna and her clan's custom to find a strong mate. Since Naruto beat her, which was very rare since Setsuna never lost before, but she saw him a strong mate as she now felt the dragon's blood flowing through him, and to her that will make their children even more powerful when born, and she the last Dai-Yukai on earth. The fifth faction was the Olympus faction. This, of course, made Naruto frown sometimes as the thunder god Zeus never comes to the meetings and makes his two daughters Artemis and Athena come to the meeting like always. He understood why, since he did beat the crap out of Zeus and telling him not to cheat on his wife ever again. But to Naruto, he was fine with this as he got along with these two, as Artemis is like a sister to him and future sister-in-law, while Athena is his girlfriend, future wife. Artemis liked him as he wasn't like all other men like she hopped, but as a training partner and a brother figure. She happens to have a boyfriend that is not here now, but the blonde had a feeling that he will show up soon enough. Athena liked Naruto with his thinking out of the box tactics and coming out on top. She asks him if he ever had a plan when they played chess when she lost to him for the first time, and he said no plan at all. He just moves when feels like it. Also, it was planned to have two factions' great figures be married and formed an alliance between the two. Naruto and Athena were set up after a raiding game and a red Satan planning it. Good times, but anyway, moving on. The sixth was the hero faction that is now led by Yuki no Naka, testament of Sister New Devil. She a young teenager with a slim yet endowed build, with an especially big butt. She has neck-length light blue hair that has a large portion of hair put into a braid placed on her left side of her face and another longer portion of hair placed on her right let loose, as she has yellow eyes and long eyelashes. She was wearing navy blue tights attached to a white skirt around her main body with black leg warmers, which is often covered up by her spirit sword armor. Naruto met Yuki after she and some other members of the hero faction decided that they didn't like Cao Cao's way of running it and split up into two groups. The hero clan led by Yuki and hero faction led by Cao Cao. When they defeated Cao and his followers, they made Yuki the new leader of the hero faction and became very close to Naruto, which she became his new girlfriend, and made Jin the second leader of the hero faction, even she is a devil. The last one was the Norse faction, and now led by their new leader of Asgard, Thor. He wore his armor with a red cape and had his battle axe in a safe place, as this was a meeting. Avengers Infinity War. When he arrives at Wakanda, Naruto saw him as an older brother figure, and Roswise smiled seeing her good friend. They all sat at the round table. Naruto took the seat in the middle as his girlfriend sat in the chairs behind him and the wolf lay down at his side. The meeting was about to begin. "We got the calls from you, Naruto, about your old homeworld coming here." Sirzex was the first to speak. Naruto nodded his head at this and replied, "Yes, it's true." "This isn't good, and how did they come here?" Michael asked. "From what I know, that they came here by wearing a vest to protect themselves when traveling different worlds," Naruto answered, remembering the vests that his former brother and sister wore before he beat them and were sent back to their home. "It's a shame. I would love to study that vest and see how it works," Azazel said with a sigh. The meeting was interrupted by a purple portal, and out came four figures. Everyone all knew who they were and wonder why they're here. The first was Ophis herself, now in her older form, as she now likes to stay in that form to be with her chosen mate, the one that captures her attention and later her very heart. Behind the dragoness was Valley Lucifer, Naruto's friend, rival, brother figure, and the wielder of divine dividing, which holds the spirit of Albion, the White Dragon Emperor. With the White Dragon Emperor as his team, being Biku, a descendant of Sun Wukong, and Arthur Pendragon, who is Lefei's older brother. Also, both Kuroka and Lefei are members of this team, which they are part-time members since they become a member of the Blonde's peerage. This shocked everyone sans for Naruto, as he knows that it was her that sent back the Konoha group to his old world yesterday and his foolish siblings. "Ophis, this is a surprise for you on being here?" Athena asked the dragoness. Ophis looked at them and her eyes settled onto Naruto, which she smiles and said, "I'm here to make Naruto happy by giving him a present." Naruto raised an eyebrow at this and wondered what she has in mind. What type of a present? He asked. Ophis decided to open her portal in the air, allowing 7 figures drop down to the ground. Naruto knew these 7 well, 4 since the 4 are female and the others were dogs. The first woman was tall, who has a slender frame as she has light brown, pupil-less eyes and violet hair that is styled in a short, spiky, fanned ponytail. She is wearing a fitted mesh bodysuit that covers her from the neck down to her thighs. Over this, she is wearing a tan overcoat with a purple inseam and a pocket on each side, a dark orange mini skirt, a dark blue belt, and pale gray shin guards. This person is Anko Mitarashi and someone close to Naruto. The second is a fair-skinned woman of a slender build, as she has long black untamed hair reaching her upper back and red eyes with an additional ring in them. She was wearing makeup consisting of red lipstick and purple eyeshadow. Her outfit is a red mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible and the broad material which resembles bandages with a pattern on it like those of rose thorns. Her hands and upper thighs are also wrapped in bandages, as she wore regular shinobi sandals. This is Kurenai Yuhi and Naruto's older sister figure. The third was a young woman with straight purple hair reaching down to her waist, warm brown eyes and a shade of red lipstick, but couldn't see her face thanks to the porcelain mask that looks like a cat. She was wearing Anbu uniform as an Anbu tattoo on her right shoulder. This is Yugo Azuki and another person that Naruto was close to. The last one has long brown hair which is in a ponytail with 2 locks of hair framing her face over her large black eyes. She is wearing a light shade of lipstick and has traditional fang-like tattoos of the Inuzuka clan on both of her cheeks. In addition, a tattoo on her upper right arm that resembles a flower. Her outfit was a Konoha flak jacket that is unzipped exposing her cleavage and a pair of form-fitting shorts cut just above the knee, and wore regular shinobi sandals. This is Hana Inuzuka, and with her were the Haimaru triplets by the name Tsukimaru, Hainmaru and Jibakumaru. Yes, they are female. Naruto got up and was moving toward them, but he was tackled by the triplets and the 3 dogs were starting to lick him as they were happy to see him again. The scene brought smiles on the faces of the others but Fenrir, who decided to bark, making the triplets looked at the wolf and backed off as they bowed their heads submissive to him. Naruto got up and looked at the group. It's good to see your 4. Naruto's smile turned into a small smile, but he noticed that Azumi was missing, though. Kurenai walked up to hug Naruto and, "It's nice to see you as well, Naruto, and I'm glad that you have a happy life." The 2 ended the hug and Naruto looked at the others. Anko broke the silence. "Hey Brad, it's been a while." "Yeah, it has, Anko. How about the rest of you been?" Naruto asked. "We've been good, Naruto," Hana stated. "I can see that Kurenai was right about you having a good life when she saw you and told us," Yugo said. Naruto gestures them to sit down. This was his chance to get answers and maybe they get their best for study. "So, what's been happening in Konoha when I was gone?" Naruto asked, being of questions in mind. Yugo sighed and answered, "Not good. When word got out of your banishment, Gaara was the first to cut the new alliances made with the village. Then Wave was the second one to cut ties and Koyuki from Spring cut their alliance as well. Hell, she was there one time to give Minato and everyone a piece of her mind, cursing up a storm and ripping the Icha Icha script that she was about to star in. She later denied them the new Charka armor without the flaws as well." Naruto laughs a little at the village's luck and was far after what they have done to him. "I bet that Danzo was pissed when the village wasn't getting the armor," Naruto said. "He was, since I was in the shadows and saw him gripping his cane tightly, but it got worse as the fire daimyo marched in the meeting room and was pissed as they made him a fool. He found out that they have been faking the reports on mission, giving your spoiled brats of a sibling the credit and not you. The loss of the alliance and other villages that want nothing from them, so he cut the village funding by 60%, Yugo replied. "I see that Konoha has fallen even more after I was sent away," Makoto stated, getting Anko, Hana, Kurenai and Yugo to notice her. They saw Makoto and were total shock on seeing her. She saw their look and giggled before speaking. "Naruto gave the same look as well when he saw me, and yes, I was brought here in this world by Ophis 10 years ago." Naruto chuckled at the memory and was one of his shocking moments. "Hey, do you have one of those vests that protect you from coming here?" the blonde asked, wanting to see the vest for himself. Hana took off the vest that she had won over her other vest and give it to Naruto. He thanked her before looking and noticed something on the vest collar. The blonde recognized it and leaked out ki, making everyone look at him of his sudden energy coming out. Something wrong, Naruto? Thor asked. Yeah, this vest has my clan symbol on it. That old monkey bastard stole some of my clan's belongings. Naruto growled in anger. That man takes things that aren't his, Athena stated, anger as well of someone taking others' work. Naruto calms down as he gave the vest to Azazel and Naruto sat down to think a few things. Kurenai remembers something and spoke. Naruto, there's something I need to tell you, is that Izumi is dying by an incurable disease. What? Makoto shouted with tears out of her eyes as her daughter was dying. Who told you this? Naruto asked. Tsunade was the one to find it in a hidden folder. She found out about Izumi and her disease, which she may have a few months, maybe a year to live, Kurenai replied. Naruto sighed at this and his brain was going a mile a minute. He wanted to test something out on Anko since he has gotten his evil pieces. The blonde summoned his peerage pieces, being a pawn piece. I want to test something out. I want to ask you, Anko, do you want to be free from your curse? Naruto asked, showing the pawn piece and something he wanted to do since finding out about the curse mark. Anko grabbed her neck where her curse mark is and looked at Naruto in surprise. She wanted to do anything to get rid of the curse mark, the damn mark that ruined her life and the bastard give her. And how are you going to do that, Naruto? Anko asked. Naruto showed her the pawn piece and answered, this piece is an evil piece. It allows me to reincarnate anyone into a devil. So, they are servants to the said leader? Anko asked. No, I don't treat them as servant. I and a few others treat them like family while others treat them like other things. Naruto replied. Anko was thinking a lot and ever since she wanted this mark gone. She was tired of its people calling her, snake slut, snake whore, or any other thing they can think of. Do it, she said as Naruto looked at her and spoke again. I'm tired of it, all the name calling and people talking behind my back. Very well then, Anko. Lie down on your back and we can get started, the blonde said. Anko did as she was told to do as Naruto knelt beside her as his pawn piece started to glow red and the piece merged in with Anko. Anko for herself felt a little pain, but it was coming from her neck, but it stops, and Naruto helped her to sit upright. He asked Revel to get a mirror for him. She did and used it for the new devil to see the curse mark was gone. This caused Anko to launch herself at Naruto, but instead of his hug, she kissed him right on the lips, shocking Rias and the others. Rias, having enough, grabbed Anko and pulled her away. What in the nine hells are you doing? Rias shouted, asked. Anko gave her an innocent look and said, what? I'm giving the brat his reward, is that a problem? Rias eyebrow twitching at her. Great, she acts just like a Kano, she thought. She heard stories about this person from Naruto and now knowing that those two will get along just great. Hey Red, so, you better get used to it. But hey, picture this, you are eating me out when he's banging you from behind or the other way around. Anko said with his teasing smirk while licking her lips. Anko. Kurenai shouted at her friend. Anko just laughed at this before getting bonk on the head to stop her actions. Rias was blushing as the same color as her hair. Asia fainted with a perverted grin on her face. Azazel was giggling like a pervert while the others were blushing. Akano saying, Era, as she put her hand on her cheek with a blush. Okay Anko, that's enough. So, what about you three since the village has lost its ways? Naruto asked the others. Kurenai, Hana and Yugo thought long and hard. On one side Konoha was their home, but it didn't feel like it anymore, and they wanted to be with Naruto since the four along with Izumi protected him. But in the end, they just say screw Konoha and be with Naruto. Fine, we agree, the three said their answer. Naruto nodded his head at this, but he looked at Rias, Revel and Sona. Hey Sona, I think that Hana can be your new rook. Rias, I think Yugo can be your new knight, as Kurenai can be your first bishop piece, Revel, Naruto informed. Sona, Rias and Revel looked at Naruto then at the other three as they heard that these three were good at his old world, but Rias had a huge smile at this on getting a new knight. Maybe she can teach Kiba new swordsmanship. Sona was looking at Hana with a collective stare as she heard stories about the woman clan as they were good trackers, as Hana dogs can be her partners in combat, as she nodded her head in approval of this. Revel on the other hand was blushing up a storm and twiddling her thumbs, but Naruto told her she will be a great king, but with her resolve she nodded her head in approval. Naruto smiled at this and gestured them to their new kings, and Naruto decided to summon his 3 other pawn pieces that he thought they were ready. A bright light appears in the room, having 3 more females came out of the circle. The first girl has brown skin, dark brown hair that is tied into a ponytail, cyan eyes for color, and she has the same figure as Rias has. Her outfit looked like she belongs to a tribe. This girl is Korra, and Naruto found her in case inside of a crystal that the members of the hero faction wanted out. The blonde kills them and freed her from imprisonment. When she asks him on what's happening, Naruto told her everything on what's going on, and to his surprise that the said girl can bend all 5 elements including metal and has a power to go into a state called the Avatar state. The Red Dragon Emperor asked who gave her these powers. She said God did, and encase her in the crystal if the world needed her. She and Naruto became good friends as they spar with each other and became a pawn in his peerage, which they later became a couple. The second girl has short dark blue hair that barely reaches her neck that is trimmed neatly. Her hair falls into her face in several short bangs that are swept neatly to the right, and then the rest of it frames her face. She has turquoise-colored eyes and wears red-rimmed glasses, as she is remarkably short and has a slender but fit-built body as her is E-cup size for her age. She is wearing an elaborate blazer with gold lining and buttons and a large collar which is open to reveal the blue innards of the blazer is blue, a black collared top with gold lining and a red tie. On her shoulders sit elaborately designed black and gold epaulettes as the cuffs of the blazer is folded outwards showing the blue insides with gold linings. With this she wears a short white frilled skirt, underneath which she has only ever been shown wearing white panties, over which she wears a pair of black stockings which are tucked into a pair of white knee-high, high-heel socks, and on her feet a pair of black kitten heel shoes. This is Kasumi Shigure, a former member of the hero faction, best friend to Yuki and part of Naruto's harem. Naruto met Kasumi during the meeting with Yuki, and Naruto can tell that she was a fighter as her martial arts skills were no joke, as they did a friendly spar once as she landed an upward kick at his jaw and she wasn't using her scared gear called a zero arm, which is a pair of arm and leg braces with large blades on them. They are dangerous to any members to any faction or dragons, as they can hurt or kill them since they have that power to do so. How did God make them? Michael is still figuring that out as well. But the two got along. Naruto can tell that Kasumi is a headstrong girl like Korra and a good leader to her troops when Yuki gave her a command. But after the civil war, she offers herself to become a devil to him as she saw him to be a good leader, and also confess her love to him, which Rias and the other girls agreed to be part of his harem. She became third in command of his peerage if he and Valerie are gone. The last one has olive skin, aqua eyes, thick eyelashes and short golden blonde hair which she usually keeps messy with 3 braided locks. She is wearing a jacket with a high collar which covers the lower part of her face downward, while bearing a good portion of the lower half of her large S. The jacket has a zipper running along its entire length which is open from the bottom upwards. It has a beige air filter on either side just below the trim as the jacket sleeves completely envelop her arms, terminating in black glove-like extensions at her extremities resembling the appearance of a cat's paw. This is Tear Harabel, as she was the last shark Yukai. Naruto met her as she was slowly dying with a gaping hole in her chest after she killed a few members of the hero faction that was around her, and that's when Cao Cao made the final move and stabbed her in the heart. Naruto asked her that she wanted to live, and her answer was yes, as she wanted to rescue her friend Yasaka, and he showed her his pawn piece, making her know that he was a devil. But Setsuna came in and told her that he and the other devils are here to help. So, she accepted her new role as a pawn and later turned over. Tear is calm, taciturn, level-headed and analytical as she watches her enemies for any weakness or to make a move. "You summon us, Naruto?" Tear asked her king. "Yes, I want you 3 along with Valley and his team, Roswise, Jean, Yuki, since I know that she wants to come with, Irina, Zenovia, Kuroka, Lefei, and Setsuna will be coming with me back to my old world," Naruto stated. "Let me guess, they came for you, did they?" Korra said with a frown on her face. Kasumi walked up to Naruto and knelt before him for her punishment in not being there for her king. "I'm sorry, my king, if our mission wasn't that long we should have been there for you. I accept any punishment you give me," Kasumi said with her head down. Naruto groaned at this before picking Kasumi up. No, Kasumi. I'm not punishing you, as it was your job to hunt down any surviving members of the old faction, and I'm saying no now. I need your help, okay?" Naruto said. Kasumi nodded her head and Yuki sighed at this but smiled at her friend as she knows that Kasumi is very loyal, and she will have anyone's back at any time. But Naruto, why do you want to go back? You know that Konoha will capture you. Ria said, being worried for her shared boyfriend. Naruto looked at her with a smile and said, I need to go since I need to help others that were once me. Ria's eyes widened when she caught on to his words as he wanted to help others that hold the tailed beasts within them, and she nodded her head at this. Very well Naruto, but be careful and call for help if you need it, Ria said. Naruto nodded his head that he will be careful and looked toward to Kurenai to ask another question. Anything else I should know? Kurenai nodded her head at this and answered him. Yes, there is. Orochimaru has declared war against Konoha as he gathered a lot of small nations that has a beef with Konoha thanks to Hiruzen and Danzo. Did he got Iwa or Kumo to join him? Naruto questioned, knowing the bad blood between the villages. No, he didn't as Kumo refused to join. The new Raikage, didn't want any beef with the Sannin and Iwata. Our surprise is slowly rebuilding itself thanks to the civil war it had with between the third Tsuchikage Onoki that wanted to destroy Konoha and his granddaughter Kuritsuchi, who wanted to remain neutral with Konoha. Kuritsuchi being the winner and refused the Sannin. The snake ran for his life when both Iwa's Jinchuriki arrived to aid her and went after him. Kurenai answered. Naruto just chuckled at this, but nodded his head in thanks. He made a few hand signs and a cloud of smoke appeared and out came a small moth as it chirped in happiness on seeing her summoner. Mina, go tell our friends that I'm coming back and they can let loose on the toads, along with any of the snakes that are loyal to Manda and Orochimaru. Naruto said to the moth before speaking again. And you can tell them that it will be a date, okay? The moth chirped in response and happiness before puffed back to the summon world telling the two boss summons of their mission. Okay everyone. Gathered anything for this trip, and I mean anything you can carry. Be back here in 1 hour to go to my old world since it's a kill or be kill world. So, be on your guard when get there. Naruto ordered. They nodded their heads and left to grab things for this trip. Look out elemental since the Red Dragon Emperor is coming back to his former home to raise hell and was ready for battle. Leaf Village. Within Konoha or Leaf Village, has the village in lockdown and war mode has it gone up. Everyone was so forced on the war, they missed the little things and an unknown character showing up. The shadow took form as a young man wearing a black coat of darkness, watching the village and her people running around like headless chickens for war. It was funny to him as most of the ninjas have little strength left and their best were crippled by either the Red Dragon Emperor or his girls. He saw this as a chance to make prototype army for the old Satan factions come back in revenge. It is time, the young man spoke before throwing his coat into the air which soon disappeared into dust of energy and showed his looks before all. He had golden blonde hair that was spiked upwards and his green eyes are filled with mystery. Let the game start, the young man said with a smirk on his face and had a lot of work to do. This is going to get interesting. Living room. Naruto along with his peerage, Valley's team, Setsuna, Irina, and Fenrir are ready to go to his old homeworld. His peerage is well ready for anything and if they try something against Naruto to force him since they can take them on. Valley and his team ready to go and be on guard for anything, especially Valley. He's excited to see his brother figure home and hope to find powerful opponents. Is everyone ready? Naruto asked, getting them to nod and answer. Rias along with her peerage, Sona, the leaders of the three factions, Makoto, Yasaka, and Kuno are there to see them go. The girls couldn't help but worry because Naruto is going back to his own world where he suffered so much and lost everything. However, there are times to face his past in order to move on and so they must accept it. Please Naruto be careful, Ria said as she couldn't but be worried for the man she loves and shares. Naruto nodded his head and said, not to worry Rias. They won't have the power to stop me or the rest of us. The redhead heiress nods her head in understanding. Sirzex and Makoto then step forward. Naruto, please save my daughter and bring her back with you. I know that Sasuke is beyond saving but Izumi is a kind-hearted girl, Makoto said. I as well want you to save my stepdaughter if they do something, Sirzex said. Naruto nodded his head and had planned to bring Izumi back here. He knows that she would love this world, be happy to her mother happy, and meet her new little brother. I will save her, don't worry, Naruto said, which on time had the infinite dragoness appearing. Is everyone ready? Ophis asked. They all nodded their heads and were ready. Rias along with the girls and Yasaka hug Naruto. Please be careful Naruto. He hugs them back and felt great peace as he was always felt. I will don't worry, he said before feeling someone hugging his leg and looked to see Kuno. Please be careful, Daddy, Kuno said. Naruto smiles before picking the little fox up. No worries Kuno. Daddy will just go take back what is rightfully from my clan and beat the bad people, Naruto said, which made Kuno smiled and hugged him. Which everyone smiles at this scene, seeing Naruto being like a good father. The girls blush at the thought of having Naruto's children. I will come along as well. You need me to return here and my power in case things go messy, Office said. Naruto nods and then thought of an idea to make a big showing in his old world. Actually Office, I need you to do something when we get there, Naruto said, which the infinite dragoness had an idea what he had in mind and nods her head in understanding. Office then prepared a magic circle. Sirsex. Good luck all of you, Sirsex said, wishing them good luck on this new journey. I pray for your success. Michael prayed to the group, which good thing that it didn't hurt the devils in the room from his prey. Go and show them the power of supernatural beings, Azazel said with a smirk. They all nod. Office snapped her fingers, using the magic circle to activate and teleport away within a flash of light. Elemental Nation's world. Konoha, Council Chamber. Everyone is in an argument about what happened to the squad to retrieve Naruto, a failure. On top of them, all is that the two children of Minato and Kushina can't have children of their own, which makes things very much worse. Minato and Kushina are still in great sadness for what happened to their two children, but the council bickering makes things worse. Lord Fourth, we must do something to get that brat back. Our enemies are preparing any moment, a Fate civilian said. Indeed, he's the only one of your bloodline and can have children, so we must send a team after him, a merchant civilian said. Minato thinks of something from what he was told and said, look, I know that we need Naruto back, but what Jiraiya reports to me where he is something out of our league. This caught their attention. What do you mean, Lord Hokage? A civilian member asked, not understanding what the homage meant by that. The blonde Hokage sighed, knowing that this would be a long meeting. I'll let the team explain since they are out of the hospital, Minato said, which on cue had the team walk in. They came in and everyone saw they are hurt pretty bad, especially Kakashi since he lost his Sharingan. Also, Sasuke, who is angry having heard that something happened to his eyes not making activate his Sharingan. Minato, Jiraiya greeted. Explains everything that you told me, Minato ordered. The old sage nodded and told everyone everything. After that, the whole council is shocked to hear that where Naruto is in a world where actual and powerful real beings exist after their encounter with him, and the power he unleashed is something that no human can do. Which brought the civilian council very scared, hearing the demon brat is more powerful than before. The shinobi council is very nervous about hearing Naruto's new abilities. If he can defeat the retrieval team easily, not going all out, and they shiver at the thought of how powerful he really is. We must plan something to retrieve him. The civilian council nod. Sorry to say, but we need a whole army to get him, Kakashi said, getting their attention, and there was more. From what I've seen and felt on Naruto, like he's been a war for a long time. He's in a higher league than me and Sasuke, maybe more than the legendary Sannin combined at full power or more. Which brought everyone very nervous about hearing that. Kushina and Minato nervous as well. If what Kakashi said is true, meaning Naruto is more powerful than any shinobi in the world. Danzo, after hearing what transpired there, start to plan to send his route to go to that world and bring those beings to his ranks. And under his control to rule Konoha as Hokage and the elemental nations. Sasuke, on the other hand, grew mad hearing that. The person he despises the most and worthless became a powerful force that no one can stop him. That worthless Dobi will pay for what he did to me. I will take his power and his women to bring my clan to its glory, Sasuke thought. Then what are we supposed to do? Is not like he will appear in this very chamber, the fat civilian said. Right on cue, a magic circle appears in the center of the chamber, making everyone surprised to see. It revealed several people there, but what got their attention the most is the one in front of them. Naruto is standing right at the chamber and looks at everyone. Hello everyone, I would say nice to see you again, but I would lie to myself, Naruto honestly said without a care. All the council is shocked that he's here. You brat so decided to return to beg, huh? This became the fat civilian's last words when his head was blown off from his shoulders, courtesy of Naruto magic beam shot he learned. Not really, am I supposed to care, Naruto said. Which everyone is shocked that Naruto killed someone without remorse. Naruto then looks to see his former parents. Hello Minato and Kushina. How have you been after all these years? Naruto said in a cold tone of voice, causing them to flinch hearing his words and the tone he's saying that he's not in a very good mood right now. And who can blame him? Now then, as to your thinking, why am I here? I decided to get back what is rightfully mine, he said, getting to the point and main reason he was here. Which that brought their attention. What is it? Minato asked. Oh, it is very simple. Everything of the Uzumaki clan, that none of you deserve it, Naruto replied with his eyes narrowed. That brought them a great shock at what he wants. That I cannot allow. I'm the head of the Uzumaki clan, and you are in great trouble for what you did to your brother and sister, Kushina said, scrolling the blonde but soon trued scare when she felt the whole room hot like a heat wave had hit the room, which it was. Naruto unleashed a red dragonic aura into the room with his eyes narrowed, being his killer intent, and they all felt his killer intent, along with his group, but they were less affected of it. I'm not asking nicely, Kushina, and don't think you're the head of the Uzumaki clan, not after what have you done to disregard the absolute law of the clan, the blonde said. Kushina flinched at hearing the law which all Uzumaki know too well. But I haven't broken it. I did everything for my son and daughter, Kushina replied, being a big mistake and made things worse. Really now? Just for them and not me? Your firstborn, which by rights I was supposed to be the heir, Naruto said, having his anger raise up but sighed and kept a cool head. That made Kushina shut up, hearing that, and pale knowing what that means. Minato pales as well, knowing it as well. The whole council are confused to see this, which he noticed. It's the law about family above all else and more important in life, but now she abandoned me for those two. She lost the right to be called an Uzumaki, Naruto explained, having everyone shocked to hear this. Now then, I want everything of the Uzumaki clan, jutsu scrolls, artifacts, and money, all of it, he said, which he and everyone know that things will go crazy soon enough. Which brought them a great shock. You can't demand us, you demon brat. Sakura's mother shouted. That's right, after everything we did for you before you were banished, that would you repay us, a civilian member said. This became a huge mistake of their part, as they all felt the killer intent, but more powerful and a true beast, putting fools in their place. This made everyone come down to their knees. Really, meaning all the beatings since I was a child, the neglect from the academy, not allowed to enter the restaurant or store for me to buy, and most importantly, I brought your precious Uchiha back from the pedo snake, and what was my reward for that? By banishing me for doing my job. Naruto shouted in pure rage, rarely shown, but who can blame, as he needed to let this out. Everyone trembling in fear at this. Sasuke feeling Naruto's power making him jealous and tries to get up. Valley then noticed the duck hair, knowing it was Sasuke, and walks in front of him. So you're Sasuke? The one who was supposed to be in par with Naruto? Valley questioned before sighing in disappointment on what he saw and big weakling in front of him. Such disappointment, you are very weak, he commented. Sasuke glared at the silver-haired young man. How dare you call me an Uchiha elite weak? No one is strong than the Uchiha, Sasuke said in pure anger. Yet you were defeated by Naruto at the Valley of the End, right? And not so long ago, Valley said. This made the Uchiha grit his teeth in anger at those reminders. Think about Uchiha. You, who was given everything to this village, what you desire, and Naruto had nothing, but he trains all on his own and masters whatever he can to be strong. That's the difference between you and him. You're weak for not doing things on your own to gain strength, but Naruto has, because he showed me how, which I'm glad. He is KY most powerful rival and brother figure I ever had in my life, Valley said before turning his back on the weak one, and more rage was coming off from the Uchiha now. Which is why you're not worth it to fight Naruto. He's more powerful than you, and you won't last 3 seconds against him. Sasuke had reached his peak of anger. No one is stronger than me, not even the Dobi. Sasuke shouted as he went to attack Valley, only to be kicked by the stomach by him. Divide, a voice said, not Dedragi but the White Dragon Emperor, Albion. Sasuke felt his strength leaving, seeing Valley's sacred gear activated, being a pair of white dragon wings with blue energy feathers. Like I said, you are very weak, Valley said, having the ninjas surprised on seeing his wings. Now on to the pressing matters, Naruto said, having one more thing, fool, to take care of. Danzo decided to speak. You really are a fool coming here, you brat. You think this is easy for you. Naruto then started to laugh as he couldn't help it, which confused them. You mean being the container of the nine tails? Sorry, but I no longer have the beast, Naruto said with a smirk, which shocked them to hear that. Naruto then looks at the Hyuga head and said, you can look at my flow Hyuga, seeing if I'm lying. Hiashi did use his Byakugan, and to his surprise to see that the seal is gone. He speaks the truth, the nine tails are no longer within him, Hiashi said, shocking everyone of this information. Danzo, on the other hand, is mad to hear that. Where is it, brat? Danzo demanded. Beyond your reach, mummy face, Naruto replied. This made the old war mongrel mad. Do you realize what you have done, traitor? Oh, now you want to play that game, huh, Danzo? Since you on the same page as well. This brought their attention. What are you talking about? I didn't betray this village, Danzo said, defending himself. Naruto smirked before looking back at a certain white-haired woman. Setsuna. Setsuna then attacks with her energy whip, bringing dead Anbu out, but those aren't the Anbu they know but rude Anbu. This brought everyone in great shock, along with Minato, who is the most shocked. I did remember that the old third monkey and Namikaze disbanded the program, Naruto remained. Minato then glares at Danzo. Oh, I have the best part. Office, if you please, my dear? Naruto asked, getting Office to nod, and then summons her snakes to bring something to her, a black book and folder. Danzo pales and sweat bullets knowing what she brought. How did she find them? Danzo thought in pure panic. After saying his thanks, Naruto then threw the book at Minato. Better read that Namikaze and see the Warhawk crime behind your back, Naruto said, which Minato did and read it. Getting mad on every page he read, and killer intent was out. Danzo, explain yourself. Minato shouted before throwing the book at Nara's head and read it, which made him mad. That's very low and troublesome. You had the root active in secret, kidnapping orphan children and clan children, saying they died in birth. So, to be put in your root, creating an army, and did as well to other villages. No wonder something is not right, Shikaku said, getting everyone as shocked to hear. Oh, that's not the best part. Naruto ringed with a smirk and is going to love the reaction of what comes next. The information was then thrown to Sasuke, who is confused a bit but took the folder to see and his killer intent reach a new level. You stole eyes of my clan for your own using. Sasuke yelled, being still weak from Valley's attack. Everyone was shocked to hear this. Danzo was about to say something, but a slash by Naruto made things worse for him. Since he cut the bandages and the arm bandages as well, revealing the Sharingan he has along with his arm as well. Everyone was sick to see and saw the face of Hashirama on his shoulder. You took the cells of the first Hokage. Kushina shouted in pure anger, having the whole council as shocked to see. Danzo was about to say something, but Naruto beat him to it. His reason: he did all that so that he can rule the village with the root and the Sharingan he has. He then wants to conquer the whole elemental nations for himself, not for the village, Naruto informed, getting the Warhawk to glare at him for ruining his plans. You brat, all I did is for the village. You were supposed to be a personal weapon and overthrow this fool and make the entire world bow to me. Naruto just laughed as this was panic and no near the enemies he faced. This was a child's play. Not gonna happen. And as for your group? Well, let's just say Office took care of that the moment we arrived here, meaning your ambition ends here, Naruto said as he patted Office's head much to her enjoyment and felt warmth. The war mongrel glares at Naruto and went to attack him. Damn you brat, Danzo roared. Naruto then grabbed the fool by the throat and placed a seal in him, having the chakra cancel out. Now I know you were planning using Izanagi to escape, but this seal cancels all your chakra, the blonde said, shocking the old fool. Naruto then summons his boosted gear and ready to attack, having a red sphere formed up. Tell the old monkey I said hi. Dragon shot. Dragon shot. The red sphere that forms into a beam of energy goes straight to the Warhawk, breaking through the ceiling. The whole council saw his body being obliterated, leaving nothing but dust. Now do you understand your situation? If you all just left me alone, I wouldn't have come here, but now that I'm back you will return what is rightfully mine, Naruto said as he cleans the fool's blood off of booster gear and kept his cold stare at the fools. Naruto and his group then decided to leave as the council was still speechless for what he did to Danzo. Payback time, and things will shake up here in this village and others as well. DXD World. In Kyoto, we see Yasaka in her office doing her work and make preparations just in case Naruto is in trouble along with other faction leaders. Yasaka couldn't help but worry for Naruto but knows what he's doing. That's when suddenly she felt something wrong with the ley line, something she never felt before and knows what is it. Chakra, pure and powerful. This power, it must be what Naruto is talking about, Yasaka said to herself, and know that something powerful was rising which Naruto needs to know. In the forest a few miles away from Kyoto, red energy starts to form something in the shadows, and then it opens its eyes seeing crimson red and a black slit. Something big and powerful indeed was rising, indeed. Kyoto, Japan. Yasaka office, forest area. Yasaka ordered her yokais to create a perimeter around the forest after feeling the presence. Then they felt a pulse of chakra and Yasaka saw red light energy twisting around which made her narrow her eyes. It's forming faster than I predicted. Then she felt a presence and see multiple magic circles and Rias along with the girls along with the leaders of the faction, even Makoto is with them. You made it, Yasaka said. After getting your message about it, so what's the situation? Sirzex asked. Then they felt an energy pulse once again and look at the light. All I can say is that it's forming rather quickly, the nine-tailed yokai explained. They felt the power and it was like Naruto described. So the beast that was in Naruto finally forming, Rias, which caused her and the rest of the girls to think the same thing about the nine tails that were sealed in their lover and what he's been through. But then the light shine even more and the power increases even more. It's taking form now, Makoto said. Yasaka and the rest of the leaders prepared themselves in case the beast emerges. Even Rias and the girls prepared themselves for combat. Then the light disappeared for a moment and for a minute they began to be confused. Was that supposed to happen? Someone asked, which was a common thought for everyone. Makoto narrows her eyes about this. This doesn't make sense. The nine tails should have formed by now. Then they heard footsteps in the forest and see someone coming out of it, which revealed to be a woman, same body figure as both Yasaka and Setsuna, but she has red-orange hair was arranged in buns with hairpins in them and 3 clips in the front as she wore a dark shade of red lipstick as her eyes were body red with black slits in them as she wore an outfit that Kuroko wears but hers is red. They are confused to see a woman. Ma'am, are you alright? Yasaka asked. She looks at everyone and smiles. I finally get to meet you all, at last. Tell me, how's Naruto? That got them confused, but Makoto widens her eyes feeling her power, which Sirzex notice. Makoto, what's wrong? Sirzex asked, being concerned for his wife. Makoto points at the woman and said, she's the Nine Tails. That brought everyone in complete shock and looks at her. My name is Kurami, it is good to meet you all. This brought everyone confused about the way she acts. Later, Yasaka was sitting down in her office with the other faction members as all were drinking tea while they were facing someone else that was in front of them sitting down on one of the chairs while her daughter was sitting down on the said person's lap. The woman in front of them has the same body figure as both Yasaka and Setsuna has, but she has red-orange hair was arranged in buns with hair-ins in them and 3 clips in the front as she wore a dark shade of red lipstick as her eyes were body red with black slits in them as she wore an outfit that Kuroko wears but it was color red. This woman was Kurami, aka the nine-tailed fox demon that was sealed inside of Naruto, and she was supposed to be dead after she gave her life away. She will look like Mito, her first container. Okay, let me get this straight here. You were actually a woman anyway, but you died when you gave your chakra to Naruto to come here, but now you're alive again? Yasaka questioned the woman in front of her. That's right, Kurami stated as she drank her tea. Then you were brought back to life from Kami and her sisters that are connected from both our worlds to be by Naruto's side and help him out? Sirzex asked her. Correct, Kurami told him as she petted Kunu's head. Why do I get the feeling that Naruto's harem is about to grow in size? Were the thoughts of everyone in the other room sans for Kuno. Elemental world. Naruto and his group were walking down the streets of Konoha as everyone was glaring at them with so much hatred. Naruto heard them saying, the demon is back. It's all the demon's fault for making their village in a fallen state. Or any other thing they were saying, but the blonde and his group were just ignoring them as they didn't care and they had no power as they can't do anything. Naruto was disgusted by this village, and if the first and the second Hokage were alive and saw their village in this state, they would be rolling in their graves right now. He saw stores that he was kicked out now all boarded up as they were closed as they never got any customers to sell their goods and with the losses of their trade with the alliances with the others. Then he notices the men looking at his mates but mostly at Setsuna and Tear as they just looked at their big S with lust, and he notices a group of 12 men just surrounding both Setsuna and Tear. "What do you want?" Setsuna asked, but she knew already. "How about you and your lovely tan girlfriend with you to come with us and we can give you two ladies some real fun?" The man said. "No," both Setsuna and Tear said together. "Besides, we have a mate and that is Naruto." The two said together. This upset the men as two tried to grab their arms, but those two men lost the arms that were about to grab them. "If I were you two better get taken care of," Tear explains to them. They didn't need to be told twice as they ran to the hospital while the others ran for their lives shouting out, "The demon whores are going to kill them." This made Naruto smirk at his mates as they continue their way to one place that Naruto hasn't been for a very long time, and that was the ramen Ichiraku stand that was in front of them. The girls knew why he wanted to come here as they knew that the two people in this place cared for him as they enter the stand while Naruto rang the bell for service and out came Tuchi Ichiraku came through a door. "Welcome to Ramen Ichiraku, how I can help you?" Tuchi asked, but when he saw the blonde male with different women with him as the said blonde male was smiling at him. "Yo Tuchi, it's been a while," Naruto stated. "Naruto?" Tuchi asked him and Naruto nodded his head a yes. Tuchi was happy to see the young boy he gave free ramen all those years ago was alive and well now. And his daughter was more happy and excited to see Naruto, and with friends and lovers from the looks of it. The group decided to have lunch before they deal with some fools in the leaf before either heading out or not to the next village. Our Red Dragon Emperor didn't know why, but he had a feeling someone was waiting for him back home. If only he know how important and the impact she has on him. Naruto and his crew were eating at the Ichiraku ramen stall as Naruto, Tuchi, and Ayame caught up. Naruto told them about the other world he was living in, and they were happy for him. Then they all get a laugh when both Tsunade and Shizune came by as she heard about Naruto returning, and she punched Naruto on top of his head and did it again when she heard he was a father at a young age thanks to Kuroka saying both Kuno and Junior were his daughters. But Setsuna came up and told Tsunade that they were his step-daughters as he was dating their mothers. Naruto then asked both family members if they wanted to set up shop at his world and in Kyoto, which will be perfect for them since it gets a lot of tourists there and is good for business, and also send a message to Yasaka about them. The two agree with this as Naruto told Office to teleport them to a nice spot where they will get a lot of customers. Naruto paid them and they were shocked to see that is too much along. They had never seen this kind of money before. Naruto said about the other times they helped him during his childhood and wanted to repay them for this, and also told them that they will learn about the money to the other world, which it was very nice of him and accepted him. With that, Office teleported them away as the group started to walk towards the gate. They were still getting glares. "If my grandfather and granduncle saw this village, they will be saddened by its state," Tsunade said with a sigh. "Both the first and second Hokage would kill themselves ever since your sensei took the hate. He changed everything. Betraying the Uzumaki clan was one thing as the village is a cesspool of corruption, power-hungry civilians eyeing up for only money, influence, and led by their greed with the Shinobi Council's warmongering ways while building up more and more power as they think that it would keep the peace through enforcement when in reality it will only unite those that fear and hate Konoha for its misdeeds. On top of it all, hypocrisy, treachery, betrayal, and sacrifice of its shinobi so that this atrocity known as Konoha could stand strong. That is not the will of fire that your grandfather preached about, Tut, the will of darkness where few sacrifice many for their own needs like Danzo, Hiruzen, those two damned old fools, and that damned council just to keep up the appearances," Naruto said. Both Tsunade and Shizune looked at Naruto in shock at what he said, like he was a lot of knowledge of what he said. "It's like you know everything, Naruto," Shizune said as taunt and oink in agreement. "The world we're living in still does it all the time, both the supernatural and humans, but the supernatural stop as we're all allies. But the humans still do it when some nation that is ruled by tyrants," Naruto said. "I think every world in any universe act just like Konoha does," Tsunade said. Naruto was about to say something, but he was grabbed by his collar and saw a very piss-off Jiraiya. "What did you do, brat?" Jiraiya demanded. "What are you talking about?" Naruto said. "My summons, you did something to the toads, you fucking little shit," Jiraiya said. Naruto smirk at this as the fucking pervert finally realizes what happened to the toads while the snakes have a new boss as her name was Yamata no Orochi and the original creator of the snake contract as he was told by Mina that Queen Ghidorah freed the divine being as Yamata was on par with both Godzilla and Ghidorah and Yamata was pissed at Manda and his summoner as the disgrace their clan as she beat the crap out of Manda and then ate him alive as she was setting an example to anyone else who shared in Manda's ideals which it worked. Oh, you finally realize what happened to the toads. Well, it is the elder's fault for telling the prophecy and the punishment is death for breaking that rule, Naruto said. Naruto then grabbed the idiot's hand and broke it making the man scream in pain as Naruto glared at him. Listen here you fucking perverted fuck and listen well, as I know a lot about you Jiraiya as you hate being in the shadows of everyone else like your two teammates, Hiruzen, the Uzumaki clan, Kushina and Minato. And the prophecy was going to get you out of their shadow and cast one over them and you're a leech Jiraiya as you leech off of fame as you take the hard work from others and say it was you, Naruto said. So, what you think I care you damn brat as Konoha survival was the only thing, Jiraiya said. Naruto scoffed at this. There you go again Konoha this or Konoha that like a goddamn broken record as you don't care about the world as you want Konoha to be the only ninja village in the world while everything else fell as you planned to make Konoha an island surrounded by a sea of death and destruction, Naruto said. Naruto then summons his scared gear and Punpunchesraya into a building as Naruto and his group leave. What an Ashu Nya, Kuroka said. To think a man like him was given the title of Sannin? Kasumi said. Tsunade sighed at this. I'm sorry about him as he changed a lot, but I didn't it was this bad, Tsunade said. The man listens to his sensei and followed him, Naruto said with a sigh. But first we're here to find Izumi as Makoto wants her back in her arms and to meet her new family. Valley always notices Izumi's name as he always heard Naruto talk about her sometimes with Kuroka. Naruto I've been hearing Izumi's name from Makoto, Valley said. Naruto smiled at this. Izumi is one of the few people that helped me out when I was younger until she was ordered to kill off her clan by the order of the Hokage and now part of the Akatsuki, Naruto said. Valley perked up on the Akatsuki. What's the Akatsuki? Valley said. The Akatsuki are a group of S-ranked missing nin for betraying the village, Naruto said. Are they strong? Valley said as he was eager to fight them now. Yes, they are, Naruto said. Valley grinned at this as he wanted to fight these people. But they all notice a Suna nin here which made Naruto confused at this as he commanded Korra to trap the person which she did as she uses her earth bending to hold him in place. What the hell? The nin said. Now this is a surprise what's a Suna nin doing here I believe that Suna cut ties with Konoha and made an alliance with Iwa so what are you doing here? Naruto said. This made the Suna nin sweat at this but caved in as he told everything as there is a council member that is in Konoha's pocket who gave him an order to go to Konoha for help as their case Kage Gaara was taken by the Akatsuki by the names of Deidara and Sasori. So, the Akatsuki made their move as they must have found out that I've returned but they don't know that I'm more powerful, smarter, and with a team, Naruto said. What's the plan Naruto? Kasumi said. Valley, I want you to take your team along with Kasumi, Korra, Roswise, Zenovia, and Jean with you as both Anko, Koriana and Valerie stay here with Tsunade and Shizune to make sure they give me all Uzumaki belongings while I, Setsuna and Tear find Izumi, Naruto told them. The others nodded as they left and headed to Suna as Naruto summoned a necklace that belonged to Izumi once and showed it to Setsuna. This belongs to Izumi and maybe you can track her scent with this, Naruto said. Setsuna nodded her head at this and took a sniff at the necklace which Setsuna was sniffing the air while this was going on unknown to them that Minato along with his family and the retrieval team overheard that they went to track Izumi at first. They want to talk to him about what he said at the meeting hoping that he can change his mind. But now to their surprise they are going after Izumi and decided to follow them with Sasuke thinking of finally getting his chance to kill her. But he was surprised when he heard Setsuna on having her sent Naruto summons his dragon wings. Tear summons her devil wings and Setsuna transformed into her yokai form that was a giant silver dog as they took off with a great speed that neither of them could catch up making Sasuke grit his teeth in anger. DxD World. Lucifer Mansion. We see Makoto humming a tune as she was gardening as she loves to garden as her son Milika's Uchiha Gremory as he has short crimson hair with black tips as he has blue-green eyes. Makoto smiles at her newest 10-year-old son as he has a little ball of sun as he gave her a new breath of fresh air as he looks up to Naruto like a big brother, and Naruto, herself, her husband, Yasaka, and Gojiren also tease Milikas about his two girlfriends Junior and Kuno, which he denies it all as they all laugh at their blushing faces. But right now, she sees her son being excited as he's going to meet his older half-sister, which put a smile on her face as her son always asks her about Izumi as she told him stories about Izumi. Someone is in a good mood, Makoto said. Milikas smile at her mother. You bet I am, as I can't wait to meet big sis, Milikas said. Makoto giggle at this as the two went back to gardening until they are called by Naruto. Elemental world. Both Naruto and Tear were following Setsuna as they all came to a stop, and they were in front of an old big compound with the Uchiha symbol on the top of the door. Naruto looked at both Setsuna and Tear as they decided to walk into the compound as they came across the masked Uchiha that made Naruto's life a living hell and Kisame here, but Naruto must think that Izumi is somewhere else in the mansion. So, it's the brat that went missing, Kisame said. Naruto ignored him as he looked at the fake Madara. Naruto spoke with Makoto about this, and she told him that the man that was there during his and his siblings' birth was not Madara, which the fox also told him the same, as the man during his and siblings' birth wasn't Madara as the man that controls that night that didn't have the same sinister charka. As much I want to beat the living hell out of you Uchiha, but I'm here for other reasons. Some beating the living will come later, Naruto said. Naruto started to walk away, but Kisame tried to attack him from behind, but Tear intercepted him and blocked Kisame with her sword, which surprised Kisame on Tear's speed. I won't allow you to hurt Naruto, Tear said. Then the two started to fight each other as Setsuna was staring down at the Uchiha as he won't interfere with Tear or Naruto on his mission, but she senses more people coming here as she might think it was a Konoha retrieval team. Throne room. Here we see a beautiful woman that was the same age as Anko, Kurenai, Hana, and Yugo, as she has a great body figure. Use Lena from Valkyria Chronicles 4 but with a Kano S and her tight ass. This person is Izumi Uchiha, the eldest daughter of Makoto and older sister of Sasuke, as she was ordered to kill off her clan as they were about to plan a coup and keep her brother alive so he can hate her and kill her to bring a new Uchiha without the hate, but she doesn't know that her plan failed. But there was one person she does miss, and that was Naruto. He was banished from the village from doing his job of bringing back her little brother, and then he disappears, making her sad for a bit as she, Anko, Hana, Kurenai, and Yugo were the only 5 that watch over him and the few people that didn't hate him. She did have a good relationship with Conan, which made the two happy a bit, as there was another woman to talk to as the two got close in other ways, like in the bed. Even the two are actual women. Izumi coughs in her hands and notices the small drops of blood in her hand, making her sigh sadly as the disease is speeding up and killing her. Conan tries her best to help, and Izumi knows that even Tsunade's medical skills can heal her, but her thoughts were broken when the door opened as she looks up as her eyes widen on the person that was Naruto. Naruto? Izumi said in shock, but she blushes on handsome he became and much older than he should be. But her blush increases as he smiles at her as she mentally curses that damn smile, as it will make any woman become a blushing mess. Hello Izumi, it's been a long time, Naruto said. The two stare at each other as they have much to talk about and a bright new future for Izumi to start anew for the Uchiha clan. Both Naruto and Izumi stared at each other for over 5 minutes, and Naruto decided to grow a teasing smirk. Like what you see Izumi? Naruto tease her. Izumi blushes increase at this, making Naruto snicker at this, making Izumi gave Naruto a cute glare. Stop that Naruto, Izumi said as she gains control of her blush. What are you doing here and why are you older? Naruto smirks at her questions. The reason why I am older is I was at another world where time travels faster, and the reason why I am here is for you, Naruto said. Izumi raised an eyebrow at this. Another world where time goes faster, that may be why he is older and stronger and he's here for her. For what? She questions him. To cure you from your illness. He answers her. This made eyes widen as he can cure her, but how, as she saw him digging something out of his pocket and it looked like a pawn chess piece and showed it to her. I can use this pawn piece and turn you into a devil and cure you from your illness, Naruto told her. Izumi looked at Naruto and then back at the pawn piece as she was confused at this as on how that pawn piece healed her. But Naruto decided to tell her about her mother. And your mother also wants to see you again, Naruto said. Izumi eyes widened at this as her mother was still alive. What? Izumi said. Outside of Uchiha compound. The battle rages on between Tear and Kisame, with Kisame on the losing side of the battle as Tear wasn't breaking a sweat as she wasn't going all out. Meanwhile, Setsuna watched the masked Uchiha with a critically eye as she knows that the man was figuring out different scenarios in his head as she ignores them, as it was a team consisted of Kushina Namikaze as team leader with Maeda Guy as second in command. As the team was Neji Hyuga, Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, both of Naruto former siblings, and Sasuke Uchiha. Setsuna glances at the fight between Tear and Kisame as she saw how one-sided the fight was, which made her scoffed at, but her sense went off as someone was using chakra and tried to control her, which she acted as she used her speed and was now in front of the masked Uchiha, which surprised the man as he nearly dodged her swipe of her nails but ripped some of his cloak, which also shocked the others. If you are going to control me, then stop wasting your chakra, as those eyes don't work on me or any other yokai from my world, Setsuna said. This shocked everyone there as she said she and others of her kind are immune to the Sharingan, making the Obito mentally curse at this as he wouldn't control her but didn't care as he still has his goals to complete. It won't matter as I will get the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he said. Setsuna smirks at this. Well then that's going to be hard as my beloved husband doesn't hold the fox anymore, Setsuna said. Obito lone eye widen at this but then narrow at her. What do you mean he doesn't hold the fox anymore? Obito demanded. Setsuna shrugged off his glare but decided to answer the fool. When Naruto was banished, he found a scroll to travel different worlds but with the cost of his chakra, so the fox gave up its life. So Naruto came to my world, but with an added bonus he got new power that kill gods, which I am happier with, as myself and other girls will bear his children that will have that said power as well, Setsuna said. Obito narrowed his at this as he started to throw a tantrum as his plans were ruined as he couldn't bring back Rin, while Zetsu was in the shadows cursing at this as his plans to bring back his mother were ruined because of the brat. Then I'll kill you, then blonde-haired bitch, and the brat for ruining my plans, Obito yelled at Setsuna. Setsuna scoffed at his so-called threat as she raised her hand and extended her claws as she didn't need to use her swords on him as she knows about the Kamui thanks to Makoto. And this man has 5 minutes until the technique lasts as she charged him as their battle raged as Obito had a lot of difficulties when fighting Setsuna. Throne room. Izumi was now in front of Naruto as she grabbed his collar as her EMS was active as she glared at Naruto as she was pissed at him as she mentions her mother's name as she knows that she was dead. Give me one good reason that I don't trap you in a genjutsu, Izumi demand. Naruto then smiles as he pulled out a photo with Sirsex, Makoto and their son Milikas as Izumi saw the picture as she let go of Naruto and looked at the picture that Naruto taken out and grabbed it and looked at it as her eyes widened as it was her mother in the picture and alive, as well as she saw her smiling her true smile unlike the others she put up when she was married to Fugaku, but she also notices the red-haired boy with black tips and blue-green eyes in front of them with a huge smile on his face, and she put 2 and 2 together. I is he. But Izumi didn't finish as Naruto cut her off. Your little half-brother, yes, and he really wants to meet you along with Sirsex as he wants to meet his stepdaughter, Naruto said. She looked at him then back at the picture. Your mother wants you back, Izumi. She wants to see you again after 10 years of missing you and wants to hug you again, see her smile, and maybe on day see you get married, and gave her some grandkids for her to spoil, Naruto said. Izumi blushed at the last part knowing her mother would say that part, but she looked at Naruto and saw the pawn piece as she was thinking everything in her head as she looked at Naruto as she sighs at this as she gave him an answer. Alright Naruto, I'll join your peerage, Izumi said. Naruto smirked at this as he put magic into his pawn as it glowed and pushed it in Izumi's chest as she glowed and said Uchiha Eris gasps as she felt the illness leaving her and she also a new power going through her body, and when the light died down around her body as she took off her clothes as her outfit showed off her curves of her body as she felt something on her back as she looked behind her body and saw 2 devil wings and a devil tail. I have to get used to this, Izumi said as the wings and tail disappeared. Naruto chuckled at this as he wrapped his around her waist, making Izumi blush as the two walked out of the throne room. Outside of the Uchiha compound, Obito was not having a good day as his cloak was torn up a little and it was 2 versus 1 as Tear killed Kisame and took his sword and she joined Setsuna in the fight. The Konoha group was in shock while Sasuke was glaring with anger as he was watching these 2 women fighting another Uchiha, and the 2 were winning, but his anger vanished a little as he, the group, Setsuna, Tear and Obito saw both Naruto and Izumi, which signaled them that Izumi was a devil as they stopped their fight and were now by them. But Naruto glared at the masked Uchiha. Consider yourself lucky, fake Madara, that I didn't kill you today, but mark my word, I will, and it will be painful. Naruto said as he never breaks his promises. The four disappear under his clan symbol that was a whirlpool, and they disappeared in a bright light going to Konoha, making Obito seethed in anger. But he left while the Konoha group left the area to get back to Konoha fast. Konoha Valley, his team along with the others came back from rescuing Gaara and killed both Akatsuki members as Temari was with them as she wanted to thank Naruto for the help. They all notice the whirlpool symbol on the ground and Naruto, Setsuna, Tear, and Izumi appear from it as the people around them notices Izumi, the clan slayer of the Uchiha, as Naruto looked at Office. Office, can you go back and get Makoto, Sirzex and their son? Naruto said. Office nodded her head at this and left as when Naruto and his group was about to leave to head the Senju house. But a yellow flash appeared next to him, making Naruto cursing as Kushina must have the flying thunder god technique on her and around the village. Then Office appears with Sirzex, Makoto and Milikas, and when the older generation saw Makoto alive and well, mostly Kushina, as she was seeing her longtime friend again. Makoto saw her daughter as she walked right up to her and gave her the biggest hug as the floodgates opened, as Izumi was in tears as she hugged back, but that moment was kind of ruined thanks to Kushina. Makoto, you're alive? I thought you were dead. Kushina said. Both Makoto and Izumi stop hugging each other as Makoto glared at her former friend, which Kushina flinched at her glare. Surprise, Kushina. Makoto said. This made Kushina flinch some more at her friend's voice. Of course you're surprised, as it was thanks to Office on sending me to the underworld where Sirzex found me and used his queen piece to revive me. Took care of me, then he and the other rulers pull some strings to make me a high-class devil since I am part of a clan. Then I married my king that's standing right there. Gave birth to my son that is a ray of sunshine and made Naruto into my son's godfather. Makoto said. As she pointed out to her husband and son, everyone looked at them then back at her. You know, Kushina, you changed. Makoto said. What do you mean by that? Kushina said in confusion. After Naruto and the other two hell spawns were born, you listened to that fucking pervert about that damn prophecy as you started to neglect your eldest son Naruto for those two brats. The people beats him and you did nothing because the Kushina I know would gut anyone that harm her family, cause the Kushina always tells me that family is important above all else, just like the Gremory family, as they follow that creed as well as they treat their servants as family, but that Kushina I know died when the Nine Tails attacked that night. Makoto said. She went back to her daughter and saw the interaction with Sirzex and then to Milikas as she laughed at as her son kept asking his older half-sister a lot of questions a mile a minute, which made Izumi sweat drop at her little half-brother Motormouth. But Izumi can tell on how pure Milikas is, but that's when Sasuke snapped. How dare you defile our blood with another person? Sasuke shouted at his mother. Makoto frowned at her former son when he said that. So, Sasuke, in your eyes only Uchihas can give birth to other Uchihas? Makoto said. Yes, as it is only Uchihas to give birth to other Uchihas. Sasuke said as he pointed at his older sister. Why are you forgiving her of all people as she killed off her clan? Makoto sighs at this as it was time that Sasuke knows the truth on what happened. Sasuke, the reason why Izumi killed off our clan because she was ordered to do it. Makoto said. Everyone sans for Naruto, his group and others were surprised on what Makoto said as they heard that Izumi was ordered to kill off the Uchiha, as they thought their fourth Hokage wouldn't do that, as Makoto shot Minato a glare to shut him up. You see, Sasuke, Izumi didn't kill our clan to evaluate her strength, she killed off our clan by the order of the fourth Hokage, as my former husband along with others were planning a coup to overthrow the fourth Hokage and start a civil war in our village, and this will also draw attention to the other villages, mostly Iwa and Kumo, and they would attack Konoha when in its weakest stat and start a fourth ninja war. But for me, for almost getting killed, you can thank your father for using me a human meat shield from Izumi's sword. Makoto told her former son. This shocked everyone there sans for others of this current information, as the Uchiha clan were planning a coup and Izumi killed them off because their fourth Hokage ordered it. But Sasuke was shocked a bit but scoffed at this. So, what is it was our right to be rightful rulers of this village and everyone else is beneath us? Sasuke said. Makoto scowled at this. So, in your head that our clan should rule the world as it is our right? Makoto said. Yes. Sasuke said. Izumi frowned at this as she was now cursing herself for not killing Sasuke that night when she had the chance, as he's acting just like Fugaku, as she saw an image of him behind Sasuke while she notices Milk is hiding behind her, as she can tell he was frightened of Sasuke, as she notices her stepdad Sirzax was getting pissed. And you're nothing to me now, woman, as you're just a slut that spread her leg and crapped out an abomination, and I will kill my bitch of a sister, and I'll kill the Sasuke never finishes as he was vaporized by the pod by Sirzax, as he had a scowl on his face. No one calls my son an abomination and my wife a slut, Sirzax said. Sirzax was a calm person but gets pissed off quickly if anyone talks about his wife and son. With that, the group left with everyone giving a wide berth as they saw Sirzax killed Sasuke like it was nothing. While the group was walking, no one notices both Setsuna and Tear had faint blushes on their faces as they must talk to Rias and the other girls about having with Naruto, as the two were going into heat and they needed to mate with Naruto. That's all for my now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.